Hello everyone, and welcome to Ludo History. I'm Adam, and I'm joined today by Blue from Overly Sarcastic Productions. Words are hard.
Hello. I am so excited to be here. This is going to be an absolute mess, and I am so excited.
So first check, I wonder if they updated the game with another armor set. The last armor set was literally Sauron. Nope. We still have Sauron. Anyway, we're gonna hop straight in. We're doing Asgard today, because that exists in this video game.
Are we doing Asgard and Jotunheim, or...?
No, those are two different arcs.
Okay, so we're in Asgard right now.
Yes, we're gonna do Asgard right now.
Okay, cool. I'm going to change the tweet that I'm about to send.
Huzzah! Awesome, and thank you everyone for the follows. We've had a whole bunch of people, and that is super cool. First things first, changing our gear. And by the way, chat, while I'm going to set my gear to be whatever I want right now, you guys can mess with me. You'll notice that there's an option called channel points. In the channel points for 1200 called change my equipment. As we're going through this, I'm going to be starting with the double shield because reasons. Namely the fact that we are going to play as Javi. And in honor of the spear that we cannot get until the post-game, we're going to be using double spears. But if you want to ruin my day, you may spend channel points to select one piece of gear. So either cloak, or mask, or arms, or body, or legs, or bow, or either weapon, to change or remove. So if you wanted to hide everything, and have me just run around like this all day, you can do that. If you want to make me use heavy shield main hand, and flail offhand, you can do that. I will not be happy, but I will do it. Actually, let's use Thor's.
Bands together to get you to do AC Valhalla speedrun, pantaloons only.
Indeed. We're just getting our things set for today. A pandemic is still going on, so we shall wear our mask.
Oh, magnificent. I see you've got what looks like the Carolingian armor set.
I do have the Carolingian armor set.
How busted is that compared to what any actual Carolingian would have actually worn?
Actually, it's one of the best armor sets in the game, historical accuracy-wise. Yeah, let's throw that on real quick, just to show the whole thing. Nope, Carolingian bracers. And Carolingian boots. And the Carolingian funny hat.
It looks like a Byzantine cataphract's armor, but I guess by the time that this game takes place, that type of like scale mail design had kind of propagated outwards.
King Athelstan, since there are so many people in chat, we're only going to do one piece of armor per redemption because there are 100 of you in chat, and if you all were changing all of my gear all the time, we would never leave the menus. So one piece of armor. But yeah, recent scholarship has suggested that scale mail wasn't actually used in Francia at this time period, but older scholarship universally was like, yeah, scale mail was a thing. And so it's actually, this is a bit conservative in its interpretation, but is actually otherwise super fine. The pointy helmet with the horsehair plume is totally legitimate, and while the pauldron on the cloak is a bit silly, the cross brooch is also actually a real piece.
Yeah, that's cool. I feel like they just wanted to get like the top right side of a Roman shoulder piece.
Absolutely did.
Slap that on there.
All right, we got.
It is funny how transparent it is sometimes. But that's cool. This one's actually pretty nice. So let's get into this.
Exactly.
Valhalla,
we have already gotten redeemed. I've already seen 2 redemptions. So, King Athelstan, you did not say which single piece we are changing. You just try to change everything at once. Change one piece, and then we already got the flail offhand. But then, yeah, I don't think we have any opals, so there's no point in going over there. So let's get straight into it. Niram, you also put in redemption? What was the change? I didn't see you. Oh, we're taking off our boots. Ow, 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 ow. Okay.
Ouch. Oh, that just looks so painful.
It looks super painful. Shield main hand. Okay. Heavy or light, you can choose which shield.
There are heavy and light shields?
Yeah, there are. The heavy shields are the dumbest things on the planet. Wow, they're literally 15th century provisos in the 9th century Vikings game.
Wow. Oh yeah, that is grande.
Yes, it is. So we truly have already gone straight into the flail offhand and the shield main hand.
Offhand flail. Ugh.
Offhand flail, main hand shield.
I'm happy to see you.
Oh yeah, we have a pet fox.
Look at.
It is incredibly painful.
I'm so glad I'm not going to finish this game.
Yep. And now, you know, we are going to the Volka's Hof. Actually, we are going to go over to grab the thistles in order to collect the plants for it right here.
Torres says we haven't even gotten to Asgard and we're already in chaos.
Oh god, it's only downhill from here, guys. Chat, you may not realize it. It is truly only downhill from here. Oh, we have no adrenaline. Hang on, BRB, going to get adrenaline by stabbing training dummies?
I was watching, on the subject of flails, I was watching Lord of the Rings with Cyan last week.
Incredible.
We were watching Return of the King. And we got to the scene where Eowyn is fighting the Lich King, or the Witch King, sorry, I was getting my fantasy confused. And the Witch King has this big, dumb flail. I'm like, of course you lost. You're using a flail, you moron. It's the worst weapon.
Actually, the worst weapon. Yoink. Chat, if you did not know, you get 1 adrenaline every time you stab a training dummy. So you can literally guaranteed roll in with 4 adrenaline slots into everything you run into. Now, admittedly, flails look rad in fantasy, but yeah, they're not a historically attested weapon on account of them being dumb.
I think it's like sometimes you will see them in a castle on display for funsies. Like
exactly.
I was in I think it was technically a castle in northern Italy when I was doing my study abroad, the freshman year of college for me, freshman summer. And we specifically saw this one wall of weapons that was weapons that would never see the light of day, but were created just for the like pure nonsense thrill of it. So it was a gun that was like fully 15 feet long.
Oh yeah.
And spears that were insane, like swords that were 1.5 feet wide. It was just all like full showpieces. I can't imagine a flail getting outside of that kind of decoration.
Where was it? I think it was the Musée de la Mer in Paris, where I saw a pike that was like a full-size pike with a 4-point head, and then a gun barrel in each kind of crack in the head of the pike. So just like 4 pistols strapped onto a pike.
It's honestly pretty hilarious. I saw one at the Denmark's Museum of Natural History. There was a wall of specifically gun swords. I think I show it off in my travel log video from a few years back, but it was like, it's just, here's the gun sword wall. It's all nonsense, and it's so cool.
Once added to the elixir,
no, gunpike is definitely the OP.
In taking this, you will have access to the All-Father's wisdom.
Volka is giving us plot, in that we are going to take drugs, and that will turn us into Odin.
For a journey into another time,
now, rituals in the Viking Age, we have some faint evidence for them using henbane as some kind of ritual plant, which, you know, does cause hallucinations, so, you know, in burial context, we find fragments of henbane, which suggest that maybe that's a ritually important plant,
the elixir is
but we don't have a lot of evidence for them taking massive amount of drugs in ritual contexts in pre-Christian religions in the Viking Age. The lag is in fact on my end. My internet is not the best, so I'm sorry. We'll basically lose about 20% of our frames, guaranteed. And that's just kind of how we roll on this stream. When we're playing other games, it's better.
I'm here, So there are just built-in technical difficulties just because I am here. And I'm cursing the stream with my presence.
Oh, look at that. We have Animus nonsense, too. Because that's definitely what's tech hallucinations. And on that note, welcome to playing as Male Eivor. If we let the Animus choose, this is when we get to play as Male Eivor.
Oh, this is the only time it changes?
Yeah!
Oh my god. You know, I was wondering because I said let the Animus choose, and for the entire, like, first 10 hours of the game, I'm like, it's not changing anything. I guess the Animus just chose once and is staying like that forever, but okay.
No.
Male Eivor only for the Asgard sections.
Yeah.
Curious.
At least it's a bold choice with some semblance of a logic to it. It's just a dumb logic that involves capital P plot.
Yeah. Oh my god, stave churches. Why is there a church in Asgard?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But, you know, first impression, Asgard looks pretty as all hell and incredibly blue.
Yeah.
And, by the way, runes up all over these walls.
The prophecies of the Nornir are as clear as daylight. The Aesir are doomed. All Asgard is doomed.
Yep.
Repeat the last passage.
Brothers will fight one another and
This
kill
is
one
the
another.
worst paraphrase of Völuspá ever.
It will be an age of storms, an age of wolves.
Not this. Further along. The foretelling of a wolf. A great beast.
The wolf Fenrir howls terribly before
No,
the
no,
gates to hell.
that's the
beast will
hound,
break its bonds and
Garmr
And my power.
howls before the gates of
What
hell.
about me?
Fenrir is not in
Then
hell.
comes the second great sorrow.
when the
So they just
hardy goes
immediately
to
get
fight
something
the
just
gods
flat
and
wrong.
falls to Fenrir.
And falls to Fenrir. It's there, you see. You have foretold my death. Your Havi will die.
Yes, yes he will.
We speak what we see.
We know your fate, your destiny.
Have you gleaned enough, O wise one?
Why struggle and fight? We are but threads stretched between anchored points.
Plot.
Without hope.
Now,
So I see
well,
that his name is
Not
changed
to
into
get
Javi.
Life
Is that
is the
something
music
that
So-
I just
comes
haven't
from playing
seen
those
because I haven't
songs.
like played the rest of this
That
game,
is
or
what
is that something that
lifts
will
our
be
spirits
explained?
and
there
fills
are
our hearts.
7 quadrillion
no
names for
stranger to
Odin
luck
in the
or
Norse
time.
corpus.
Oh, okay.
I
That
am
is
the High One,
not an
the
exaggeration.
Lord of Ecstasy,
It's actually
the
a
enemy
ludicrous
of the
number of
wolf.
names.
I
And so,
am eternal.
whether getting this one is from the poem Hávamál or the sayings of the High One. So, Hávi
Little
means
words.
tall,
Cloudy
essentially, or high.
Storm is brewing.
And so, Hávamál is the sayings of Hávi.
Does our final battle draw near? Is this
And
how
since
Ragnarok
Hávi,
begins?
in that context, is clearly Odin, because he describes hanging on Yggdrasil to get the knowledge of 18 runic incantations. We can safely say that Hávi is a name for Odin.
Okay. I like that people are making jokes in the chat about the High One because currently
Yup.
Eivor is sitting in the corner of a hut, blasted on shrooms.
Absolutely blasted. Oh look, Heimdallr is conveniently not appearing in this story arc. Also, for some reason, Loki is his apprentice. I'm sure that's unimportant. Not sure why they do that. But first, before we get to anything else, I want to talk about this throne.
Yeah, what's...
This
What's
throne
happening
is
here?
called Hlíðskjálf, which essentially means, like, it's literally the throne in the high place. A hlíð is a hill in Icelandic. So, supposedly, this is supposed to be inside the hall of Valaskjalf, which is probably another name for Valhalla, or Valhalla. and is Odin's main hall in Asgard. And from it, so it has two characteristics. One, it is clearly in a high place, and two, when you sit on it, you can see a ludicrously far distance. Freyr uses it in the poem Skirnismal to stalk the Jotun maiden Gerður. Freyr's kind of a yikes dude. But it has four animals associated with it. The ravens, Hugin and Munin, thought and memory, and the wolves, Geri and Freki, who sit at Odin's feet and feast on the scraps from the table and are symbols of battle, so you really don't want to get close to them. As you can see on this, we have the ravens. Well, we have a lot of ravens, but we have Hugin and Munin, and we have two lions.
Those aren't wolves.
Those aren't wolves! Those are safely just not wolves! So, you know, the lions are probably a derivation from, you know, Christian early modern thrones, in which having lion paw armrests is super in style.
Yeah.
But, for whatever godforsaken reason, this version of Odin is terrified of all wolves. He is a god of battle. Wolves are a beast of battle. What the hell, Ubisoft? It's just...
You know those daytime auroras that just happen all the time?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, you can't have a Norse game without the auroras, despite them not appearing in the mythology. The Northern Lights, straight up, do not appear in the mythology. Period. Anyone who says otherwise is wrong. Why they're absent is a question mark, but they're absent. Fragur... No. ARKG... I don't remember what those are. I need to look up the Elder Futhark, because that is... By the way, this is the runes on this are all Elder Futhark, which is the one used from the 3rd to the 8th centuries, and not the Younger Futhark, which is the one actually used by the Vikings. So that's exciting. Some of these actually mean something. Some of these inscriptions actually mean something. Some of them don't.
I think we're getting some comments about a gear change, but I don't know how the system works.
Uh-oh. Whoever did it, Reese, put it in chat again.
I'll keep an eye out for it.
Yep. Oh, someone switching us back to double spears? Someone switching us back to...
Oh, okay.
Thank goodness, because, this is not enjoyable.
Someone puts in a gear change to just chop off Eivor's legs. First we get rid of the boots, now we get rid of the shins.
Yes! Okay.
Oh yeah,
so...
we're doing the Kukulkan build.
Oh, it's a W. Okay. I forgot that the P is a W. So that's literally ARKGW for that first row, which is a really strong beginning for meaningfulness.
It's just so impressive that they clearly put in so much research to have so many details right, and then just fully ignored other things. Like, it's not even that it's just mediocre all around, it's that some things are, like, so good, and then other things are just not. You can really tell this game was made by 60 different teams in about 80 different countries, because there's so many places where there was very obviously no communication between it. And it sucks, because with a little better streamlining, I feel like a lot of these just easy mistakes could have been avoided, because clearly someone in charge knew a lot of this stuff, and it didn't get passed down.
Yep. And
that's what makes it even more frustrating.
Exactly, and the second line is, by the way, UIPZB. Wibsba.
Is this just an eye chart for Odin to test his vision?
Apparently!
Javi, I think you need contacts, but only in the one eye. I'll just get you a monocle.
Exactly. By the way, we have both eyes still. I don't know if that'll be in the next story arc that happens, but for right now we have 2 eyeballs. Anyway, So yeah, by the way, also this game decided clearly Hlidskjalf is supposed to be in a high place. So we're gonna put it 300 feet straight frickin' up.
Oh yeah, remember how Assassin's Creed Odyssey doesn't even have fall damage?
And also, we should have just gone splat.
Yeah, from that height, water behaves like a solid.
Yeah. Yeah, we very much went splat. Oh, and by the way, even Asgard is full of Roma boos.
Yeah, why is it full of Roman columns? Like, I get it, it's the same Isu, it's the same people who were the Greek gods, but like, why?
It's Greek columns, but we made them Norse by putting an actually tested historical intertwined leaf design on the columns. Just carve them into the marble instead of into, you know, the wood on the stave churches that style is best attested in.
Absolutely wild.
Absolutely wild. Also, just a dude.
We must devise a strategy to deal with these invaders, Thor.
By the way, this is a great time to mention the meta plot.
Who crushed the skull of Thrymr, king of the Jotnar?
Thor, shut up. So if you missed last stream, as most of you did, the meta plot so far is that we, after traveling to England, Sigurd, our foster brother, completely fucked off to just do stuff, and when we found him in the town of Oxford, he told us that he is a reincarnation of Tyr, after staring at a stone owned by a Magister of the Order of the Ancients. Sigurd then immediately got captured by Alfred the Great. We also had a vision when we saw the stone of us talking to Odin, as we have repeatedly throughout the game. So, Eivor has gone to figure out what the hell these visions are about. Ooh, actually, this is a remotely cool thing. These two lion heads, and they are still lion heads, are basically copies of the one found on the Oseberg ship burial. So, I guess they could arguably be dragon heads, but, you know, actually a simplified version of a historical thing dating to around 800. Huzzah. In the case of Sigurd Rifa...
Someone comments, Fred the Alright. Just imagining, like, King Freddy the Fine. He was fine.
He was fine. Ooh, interesting. A plea for fairness. Witnesses come forward in the case of Sigurd Rifa to support that she was indeed coerced. In light of this new evidence, it seems overly cruel and perhaps short-sighted to let her fate hinge on a curse. So this is a reference to the Poetic Edda and the tale of Sigurður Fafnisbani. In the prose saga and in Wagner, after killing Fafnir, Sigurd rides through a ring of fire to the Valkyrie Brynhildr. In the Poetic Edda, it is not Brynhildr, it is instead a Valkyrie known as Sigurd Rifa, and she teaches him all of the stuff. So knowledge of runes, tells the future, etc. She supposedly was put there because she picked the person that Odin didn't want to win a battle. And so Odin was like, no, screw you, you betrayed your promise to do what I told you to. I'm going to put you into a magically induced coma until so-and-so comes and rides through the fires and rescues you. But the person advocating for her release is Tyr, who is Lord of Justice. This is one of the things this game does that makes me genuinely furious. Because Tyr, in the Prose Edda, is given 4 names. Let me grab them all. I have several pages of notes. So, he is the one-handed god, a god of battles, or maybe spears, the fosterer of the wolf, and the son of Odin. Those are the only 4 names he gets in the Norse mythological corpus. The person who decided that he was a god of justice, well, it's actually 2 people. It is Georges Dumézil, a French, well, I think he's Romanian originally, but worked for the Vichy government in France in the 1940s, and Jan de Vries, a Dutch scholar of Norse religion, who decided that war and law were precisely the same thing. The reason he did this is that Jan de Vries was a registered Nazi.
Cool.
He was a member of the Dutch Nazi Party. And so, of course he's saying that law and war are the same thing, because the Nazis wanted constant violence.
Like elves, we fight.
We are fighting for our homes, for our people. But some problems can't be solved with the hard
So
end
then
of a
Name
by
one.
following the interpretation of Tyr God of Justice, they're basically just like
Break our stalemate.
fully diving in with an explicitly
What is this?
fascist interpretation
invasion?
of the mythology.
I mean, they're not doing... I don't think they're doing this because, yeah, fascism good. They're being incredibly uncritical. Scholars still cite Jan de
Yeah.
Vries because a lot of his work has not been replicated since. He is like our main scholarly interpretation for some parts of the mythology. He's the only one who's done it. So people still end up citing him with some regularity. And a lot of places on the internet cite him super uncritically.
Must hold back to defend our city.
Yikes.
Super yikes! There is a god of justice in the Norse corpus. His name is Forseti. He is the son of Baldur. And he is so good at his job that whoever talks to him with any dispute will leave
The
content.
enemy before they cross the Bifrost.
Well said, Ravenfeeder. Name those who may fight beside you.
Now, Jan de Vries acknowledges Forseti exists and says, you know, he is clearly not in any of the Eddic poems. He appears in one lay strophe, one lay poem that Snorri cites, and therefore he's actually not a god of justice, and we can just keep rolling with this idea that Tyr is. This is, as far as it goes, true, but also, no, Alcuin in the early 9th century describes an island between Frisia and Denmark where they either use the Frisian cognate or just an older form of Forseti as worship, as a sacral space to solve legal disputes. So, like, he's attested in the 9th century as being related to justice and settling disputes. So no, I will die on this hill. Jan de Vries is flat wrong, and he's wrong because he's a Nazi. Anyway, now we get to decide. We have 3 of the gods with us. We can pick one of them to fight with us. We can have Thor. We can have Tyr. Or we can have Freya. Frigg does not exist in this game. Freya and Odin are married.
As with God of War 2018.
With God of War 2018. I will get into why this is in a moment. It's not less stupid. But, you know, in the mythology, we have a very explicit Dolgerjotna, enemy of giants, or of the Jötnar, who are apparently invading by running over Bifrost, because Bifrost is apparently not doing its fucking job.
Yeah.
So, we're clearly going to have Thor do it.
I need only one. You, Thor, Lord of Thunder. Together we'll
I
cripple
just love the
enemy before they
implication
go
that,
to
like,
battle.
outside of this very, like, dramatic, like, camera hold on Javi, it's just the other gods are just standing there like,
Dude?
hey, Odin, are you gonna make a decision?
Hey!
Did you hear
The
us?
rest of
Like,
you,
do you need a glass of water?
Hey, we have historical precedent for the person making the decision to just, like, stop moving for a full day. And that's the conversion to Christianity in Iceland.
Trolls or wolves.
What troubles you have?
Does your far side tell you something? More invaders! They gather at the Bifrost Bridge!
So, by the way, the Bifrost is just a rainbow. There is no fancy schmancy about this, it's just a rainbow. Snorri describes it as having 3 colors, which is obviously not how we understand it, but says potentially something cool. One of my friends actually started doing research into it, but was only for a class, so needs to do a more thorough study. But the red in the rainbow is literal fire.
Welcome to your doom!
That's cool.
It's just fire. And so the fire is supposed to keep the frost giants, the Hrimthursar, from, you know, attacking. Because duh.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Bifrost eventually fails when the Sons of Muspet end up attacking, but that's at Ragnarok, and you can't fault the bridge for that. We can do the matching boots right now. We will, you know, how does wearing Thor's we're just gonna yoink Thor's boots right now? Does that sound good? Niram, we're gonna come back to the Ias Hjalmar of stupidity. We're going to come back. There is a lot of plot in this game. We'll have time. I just want to introduce you all to the Blue Man Group cinematic universe.
Yeah, if there's anything I know about this game is that we will have time. There's a lot.
There's a lot. This game is way too long. But here we go. Who's ready? Blue Man Group.
With my friends on the Hookblade podcast, where they said it's impressive that Assassin's Creed Valhalla manages to fit 5 hours of plot into 100 hours of game.
Bye. Bye. Look at them! Everyone, say hi to the Blue Man Group.
Oh my god.
They are just all blue. Blue, do you want to talk about why the Yitnan are blue? Because you were the one who figured out where the original, or, well, your friends were the ones who figured out where the original attestation is.
Yeah, I talked to my friend about this. Actually, let me pull it up to make sure that I cite this properly. So the concept of blue frost giants is not grounded in any aspect of the actual mythology. It's specifically an invention from Marvel Comics, which is why you were joking about the Blue Man Group cinematic universe. It's specifically, hold on, let me listen back to this in my video so that I can hear it.
Yep, you'll need to speak up a bit, Blue.
Okay. Yeah, so it was a 1980s run of comics that first codified the idea of frost giants being blue, where one of the artists just decided to draw the frost giants in the Thor comics as blue, and then subsequent Marvel comic artists ran with that interpretation. Dungeons and Dragons picked up that interpretation, and then with the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the, you know, in the 2000s and early 2010s, they ran with that, and now it's just like the pop culture version of frost giants is make them blue, just from this one comic artist in the 1980s who was like, let's make them blue, and then everyone just ran with that. Completely an invention from comics.
And so, annoyingly, that has become part of the pop cultural idea of the Jotnar, is that since they are called Hrimthursar, frost giants, they must be bright frickin' blue all the time.
Yeah.
Thanks, Thor. He just killed 7 of them at once.
You break too easily.
Yup, thank you, Thor.
Oh, hell yeah.
That is sufficiently overpowered, by the way. Thor should be that strong. Jotnar, yeah, that's not a... That looks like it's Norwegian. Djelaven looks like it is a modern Scandinavian word, not an Old Norse one. But that's fine, I guess. Oh, huh, this guy's actually supposedly scary. Luckily, we're good. So,
Oh, right, the skill points. I forgot how dumb the skill tree is in this game.
The skill tree is sure something. Oh, wait. That was my guy who just died,
Am I still
not
a
his.
little bit quiet? I can bump my gain a tiny bit
Yeah,
to increase
please
my
do.
input volume.
Yep.
Okay.
Because, unfortunately, like, while you're fine in quiet moments, not so fine in when the chanting starts. Because this game uses
Yeah, I bumped myself up by a decent amount. Let me know if that's too much or too little, and I can change it again.
Here, I'll just...
Guards guarding this gate, and yet it was left open.
Let's turn that side down a little bit, and then off we go.
What's that?
Oh.
Okay, cool. I will
Looks like
stay
we're
at this
good.
volume.
And yes, Heimdallr is supposed to be guarding the gate. He is the watchman, which they take that in the most literal sense possible.
Let's see you, old friend.
And that he is, you know, supposed to sit up here and watch. But his sight is so good he can see everything, and his hearing is so good he can hear grass growing, despite also being deaf. He's described in one text as deaf, but can also hear literally everything. So we take that, I guess. But he went off to... He heard a concerning rumor, and so he left us a note saying he's gonna just vanish for a while. Catch him later. Don't trust Loki.
Heimdallr is fully slacking on his job.
By the way, doesn't Loki look awfully familiar?
I found this one lurking in the shade, shying from battle.
Doesn't he also sound awfully familiar?
Get him talking? Pluck out an eye.
You were told to guard this portal, Loki. What happened?
Sure looks an awful like Basim, doesn't he?
Through, so I sent warning straight away.
God, I can't believe they did this. I cannot believe they pulled this in this game.
They sure did that.
Yeah, it was really, again, my friends of the Hookblade podcast, listening to them talk about the game in subsequent episodes as they played more and more. There was one episode where they're like, let's talk about what the hell they did with Basim. And why, oh my gosh, it's absolutely absurd.
Right, I want to like Basim.
In my memory. Builder it's been for as long as I've been...
I want to like cool assassin dude from Constantinople Basim.
Do you come from Jotunheim?
Yeah.
I struggle so much given that, like, literally every story arc, he just changes to fit whatever the plot requires of him, and for some reason, Eivor still listens to him?
As a builder, yes. For
Yeah.
but they took a dislike to my methods, which are, shall I say, magical in nature.
Harry, when someone gives you a horse, you
It's
ride it.
pretty bad. Oh yeah, Alatar, the dialogue choices don't mean anything. They'll just insert a line and then go back to the pre-scripted thing.
Neither, High One. I am only a tool.
Sure.
One with hopes to be well
Yeah.
This portal has been a source of misery for some time. I want
But-
it sealed.
With respect, this is not the only way.
Uh-huh.
Asgard. May I propose a more encompassing solution?
There's probably a game design thing to do with the way that
Quite a
cutscenes
coincidence
play out,
that you
because in
came
this
when you
game,
did, at the
a lot of the
tail end
cutscenes
brutal
are
death.
just
That I came when I
clearly
came
the
from
same
sign.
engine
I have
that's
been
just
among
running
enemies
the
for so long, I know how they
characters in the
feel.
regular game. It's just slightly more zoomed in, but
Yeah.
all of the animations seem so clunky, as opposed to some of the earlier games when they were all like specifically animated and much more expressive. You can tell it's like watching a Mass Effect game where characters are just alternating between like 4 stock poses, sometimes walking around,
I'll accept these
and
terms with the last
it just looks
Yup.
so
Yup.
stiff, and I don't know how to explain that and what might be causing it, but this entire trilogy of Assassin's Creed games looks so just intensely stiff,
The-
in a way that even another Ubisoft game, Immortals, it doesn't have that same problem.
Yeah.
There are a lot of cutscenes that are very obviously just people talking, but then most of the cutscenes are much more interestingly shot, much more interestingly animated, where characters actually do things, but I don't know if it's a problem with like the facial skeleton rigs they're working with or what, but it's just so rigid with these guys. And it doesn't help when you have to completely block the flow of conversation to insert an arbitrary dialogue choice that accomplishes absolutely nothing.
Yeah. And I think part of the reason for that is that Assassin's Creed games are frickin' gigantic.
Yeah.
Absolutely flippin' ginormous everythings. So they're having to put all their resources somewhere else, and they're having to use just kind of our set of animations that they can swap out the character models for.
Yeah.
Instead of giving
there's
everyone
a video from a channel called, I want to say, give me a second. Oops, knocking things over. New frames.
Yep. Oh, yes, Dan Floyd is good people. We stand New Frame Plus.
Yeah, okay, yeah. New Frame Plus, Mass Effect Andromeda, what went wrong here? It's an animation, it's a video specifically talking about the animation in Mass Effect Andromeda and why it looks so bad compared to earlier Bioshock games. Dan does an incredible job explaining how this happens and the process of, like, how you go about streamlining the dialogue process, where you basically alternate between a handful of bespoke animations. So you'll do, like, this movement paired with this like gesture paired with this facial expression, and that's, to peel back the curtain, that's kind of what we do on OSP for how we construct our animations. We have a series of stock poses. We have eyes in certain configurations, mouths in certain configurations, arms in certain configurations, and we just put all of those together to create our individual talking files. So with a handful of basic template elements, we can do a lot of animation to convey various, moods, intensities, and this and that. But with video games, you have to make it a lot more complex because it's animation rather than an animatic where the frame only changes every, 4 or 5 seconds. And Mass Effect Andromeda did a really bad job of it on several fronts. But the video is really good because it just explains the whole process of how that works and how game designers go about animating lots of cutscenes without spending hours and hours and hours, keyframing each one.
Yep. What is this door supposed to be? I think this is just a door. Where is this? This must be the... it looks like this is the one that's supposed to lead to Jotunheim, given that, the whole snow stuff, where this one doesn't have that. Oh, this one does have it too. Okay, they apparently both just lead to Jotunheim for, reasons? Reasons. Yeah, so the Bifroster does not go straight to Jotunheim, because why would they do that? That's dumb. It goes from Midgarder up to Asgard. Oh yeah, and by the way, this is probably a good time to note pronunciations. This game uses extremely different pronunciations than I do. This is not the game making an error. This is the fact that the game tries to use some form of reconstructed pronunciation, while I use Modern Icelandic-ish, because Modern Icelandic is just the superior way to pronounce Old Norse. So yeah, they'll call him Havi. Well, I'll kind of usually say Hauvi, or something like that.
There's some research about specifically how, modern Icelandic is essentially the closest we can get to a version of Old Norse. Am I remembering that right?
Kind of. So...
Kind of.
Modern Icelandic is an extremely similar language morphologically. So the form of the words and the grammar really hasn't changed all that far. It's changed some, but not that much. Pronunciation has changed somewhat dramatically, but there's a reason for the grammar being so similar. The reason is the 19th century happened. Which is not a satisfying reason, but essentially, really? Really? My dude, essentially, in the early 19th century, a bunch of young nope, wrong one. A bunch of young Icelanders decided, screw Denmark, we don't like being Denmark. We think that the Danish influence is ruining our language. And so they went and they looked back at the sagas, looked back at Old Norse from the 13th century, and were like, yeah, that seems good, and just started using it. And they were incredibly popular poets and authors, and it stuck. And then people were like, yeah, that seems like a good idea, just in general. And so, like, commissions were formed to preserve the stability of the Icelandic language. Those still exist. It's kind of weird. I won't lie. It's a bit weird. But they are essentially going, yeah, how do we do... Actually, I want to stay on this side of the thing, because out on the island over there is a side quest. Side quest!
Linguistic prescriptivism is really weird. There was actually an attempt in Greece shortly after independence from the Ottomans to create a similar thing, basically like a council and a body to regulate the manner of the Greek language, and specifically to align it closer to the way that ancient Greek was spoken and written. It's a dialect called Kathareguse, but no one liked it because to modern Greek speakers at the time in the 1800s, it was like the equivalent of reading like Shakespeare squared, where it's like, yeah, this is obviously still my language, but it's weird because it's not really ancient, it's not really modern, and it kind of wasn't useful for either. So it's this kind of this artifact of an attempt to build a version of the language from the ground up that just fully did not work, which is unfortunate.
And it super worked in Icelandic.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I remember with God of War, Bear McCreary, the composer of the God of War soundtrack, said that, yeah, when we wanted to get singers for the music in this game, we just went to Iceland and got the choruses there because their singers have the closest sound to what, we think that this older language would have been like. And it's really cool.
It is, but Icelandic should look more like Faroese. It should just sound and look more like Faroese does. If the language change had progressed the way it is naturally would have. But it didn't, and so you end up with still some changes, so, I don't know, well, we don't have a lot of good Old Norse words for me to kind of portray the difference with, but, just our word for, I guess, a armor in modern Icelandic is armor. There's this thing called U-epenthesis, where they insert a U before the end of the word, if there's an R at the end, and so instead of armor, you have armor, which is just easier to say all around. So, yeah, we take that. And then a bunch of other changes. So, like, the big church in Reykjavik, Hallgrímskirkja. That weird pronunciation of Kl is a modern thing, not an Old Norse thing. It would be Hallgrímskirkja in Old Norse.
Your drunken laments
anyway, let's say hi to Njörður.
to this state.
I have a beautiful...
Yes, you do. Noatun. So, Njörður, or possibly very old Nerthus, is a kind of god of the ocean. Nope. Meanwhile, Skadi exists. She appears only off-screen.
Up in the fucking mountains.
Yes.
She is Jotun. You should have known this before you married her.
She chose me. Can I help it?
So this is a reference to a tale in Skald Skaparmal.
You
Or
cannot
Skald
keep this up.
Skaparmal.
Your wailing will summon a sea storm.
I care not. I have mead enough to keep me warm till Skadi
what is it? It is Odin, Heinir, and Loki make a bad decision and
Maybe
piss
they
off
will.
Thjazi,
Not before plundering the
a
vast
Jötun.
riches from your beautiful home.
In revenge, Loki kind of sort of gets captured and then promises to help steal away Idun, the goddess of youth, and the keeper of the apples that preserve the immortality of the Aesir, to Thjazi. Loki figures that out, or, well, Odin figures that out, gets really pissed off at Loki, and says, fix this. And so, to do that, he borrows Freyja's cloak, turns into a... Okay, thank you, Freya. Turns into a hawk, and kind of re-kidnaps Idun away from Thjazi. Thjazi chases in the form of an eagle, gets, as Loki comes in, the gods light fires around Asgard, and Thiazi crashes to death and they stab him repeatedly. His daughter, Skavi, gets really freaking mad about this and single-handedly beats the Aesir to a pulp. They're so scared of her, they offer her whatever compensation she wants, and it's 2 conditions. 1, make her laugh, and 2, she gets to choose who she marries. The gods are like, yeah, sure, but you can only see their feet. She wants to marry Baldur, despite Baldur already being married. And so she ends up instead accidentally choosing Njörður, based off the fact that he stands in the water all day, and therefore his feet are extremely clean.
The only time she ever really
And then this happened for the other one. Tug of war between Loki and a goat, with the rope tied around Loki's genitals. It's pretty terrible. But their marriage goes poorly. And they end up separating, though never truly divorcing. So Skadi lives in her mountain home, and Njörður lives at his beachside home, and they only occasionally visit each other.
That will dull the edges of their weapons.
Yes, I know you do.
I hope you find peace, noble Njörður. A bad match can be troublesome.
That's
not worse than having nothing
that's
to love.
bad advice, Odin.
home at Noatun will bring me pleasure enough. But what about you, wily one?
So yeah,
That is bad advice. That's actually terrible advice.
that's actually really bad advice.
Knowledge, seeking, and the pursuit of it. Untangling mysteries, uncovering lore. That is what feeds me.
Also, your marriage to Frigg.
From what I know of the world and all.
Also, your marriage to Frigg, who does not appear in this game, but is kind of important.
Never go hungry. Good luck.
Oh
to you.
man, this game is just so weird.
It does a thing. Anyway, so yeah, Njörður is the father of the lords of the Vanir, Freyr and Freya. Freyr also does not appear in this game. Freyr is like top 3 in levels of importance among the gods. Does not appear. But Skirnismál, the tale of how Freyr married Gerður, also suggests that, well, Skavi is Freyr's mother. In fact, in the second stanza, it explicitly says this, that Skavi heard that Freyr was sad, and being his mother, went to go check on him, and found him on Odin's throne, Hlíðskjálf, being very sad about Gerður.
I think we're actually, real quick, getting some confusion in the comments about the difference between Freyr and Freya. Because I saw a comment like, wait, didn't we just see Freya earlier in the meeting? These are different characters, right?
Yes, Freyr and Freya are twins, but Freyr is male, a god.
The sky itself shadows before your might, Thor.
Thank you, Thor. We'll get to Thor later, because they do him dirty.
Very cool.
They do him dirty.
Who don't they do dirty?
Good question. When I find someone, I'll let you know. Ooh, we'll talk about, before we go too far also, we're going to talk about that. But to finish up, Freyr and Freya are both seen to be related in some way to fertility or love. In the Prose Edda, Snorri Sturluson says that it's good to pray to Freya for matters of love. Adam of Bremen, meanwhile, describing the temple at Gamla Uppsala, says that Friho, or Freyr, is one of the most important gods, and he brings peace and pleasure to men, and is characterized by having a gargantuan phallus. we have found statues that are probably Freyr that clearly have an extremely large phallus.
Ground control to Magnum Dong.
Yes, exactly. But Freyr is also said to be Lord of Elves, and past that, that's never mentioned again. Literally just one of his names is Lord of Elves, and that's all we know about that. Freyr also dies fighting Surtur, because he gives up his sword to his servant Skirnir, in exchange for Skirnir dealing with the ugly business of coercing Gerður into marrying Freyr. It's pretty gross. But because he doesn't have that, even though he's extremely good at fighting and punches a Jotun called Bali, which has potential parallels to Irish, but we don't want to go there because it doesn't actually. Sure looks like it has parallels to Irish. Punches him to death, but then loses the fight to Surtur in the end because he doesn't have his sword. Oh yeah, by the way, in Asgard your mount is a reindeer, because Odin totally doesn't have an extremely well-known horse. Sleipnir, who? Never heard of him. 8-legged horse that appears in things going back to like the 7th century? Nah.
No, but you see, that would have been a pain in the ass to animate. But
come on, the runestones just like tie to each pair of legs together, and so he only has 4 legs and 2 move at a time. Would have been easy. But yeah, also, the reason I'm hanging out here is this little thing here, which is a Vegvisir, a wayfinding charm that's attested starting in the 15th century.
Oh, love that, love that.
Quality. High quality. It's super commonly attested, related to... Oh look, there's a good instance of reconstructed versus modern pronunciation. They call it Asir, well I'll call them Aesir. That's modern Icelandic versus reconstructed Old Norse.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, I just plowed through that unhead here. That's awkward. Hey, the Vegvisir. It's super common, and you know, since we're heading back into the center of Asgard, we're gonna see another one in just a hot second.
Statues.
Oh yeah,
I'm
statues.
still so mad that there are so many Greek statues. That just infuriates me.
Praise the statue of Mars? Heracles? One of them.
That...
It looks like it should be Mars.
Yeah, Mars Ares type.
Which, in other words, means, according to Roman authors, means Tyr. Just...
Oh yeah, they syncretized Tyr with Ares.
Mars, yep. And
Which, like,
Thor with Jupiter.
As far as syncretizing goes, like, I get it, but
I get it.
Dumb.
I get it, they're wrong, but I get it. And they syncretize Thor with Jupiter, for obvious reasons. And they syncretize Odin with Mercury. And then they don't, like, mention anyone else. By the way, Stave Church is just a Stave Church.
Yep.
Like, there are some of these where,
just
you know, they're tall enough and dumb enough that you can say, like, you know, fantasy, Hof, temple, whatever. No, that one's the right size and shape and form to be a Stave Church. Christian Church!
Gosh.
In Asgard.
And it's about 3 centuries ahead of schedule, at least.
Exactly. It's fine.
Yeah. Some people were getting on my case for being too hard on Assassin's Creed Valhalla. With every day that passes, I maintain that I was too nice.
Uh-huh. So, speaking of being too nice, even the most complicated Vegvisir, of which there are still many complicated ones, are 8 things long.
Pushing 30.
Whee! The world's most overgrown stupid. And like they didn't even use the other really famous one, the Ægishjálmur, which is potentially vaguely attested, arguably, from the Viking Age in one poem, where the dragon Fafnir says that he carved or possibly wore the Helm of Awe, the Ægishjálmur, on his forehead. And therefore it's impressive that Sigurður did not run away. But yeah, no, didn't use that one. Instead, used these. I'm not going to bother to translate these runes, but there are also runes out here that run a repeating thing. So this is, come on, please. Fine, I'm gonna have to get off and actually, like, stand next to it better in order to take a look at them. It just repeats this sequence over and over and over again. And there's one thing that is genuinely interesting in this, and the rest of it is dumb. So, this rune in the center here is what's called a bind rune, which is just a fancy way to say that it's two runes smashed together. In this case, it is Wunyo and Noithes smashed together. So, the W rune and the N rune in Elder Futhark. This can be in either order, but we have B, W, N, and A. And I don't know whether it's supposed to be A-N-W-A, or, sorry, B-N-W-A, or B-W-N-A. Actually, it's probably that one. That makes the most sense. Or A-B-W-N, or A-B-N-W. It's probably Buna. I think that probably makes the most sense. But, yeah. It is one cool thing in the midst of it, but then they just repeat the sequence indefinitely, which, no. I don't know what it's supposed to mean, or why they're carving it. Oh. Oh, they did an interest... yeah.
We got a comment a little ways back from Alatar Maya 4. I've seen people say that normally all the historically inaccurate fantasy is contained in the assassin stuff, but in this game the Viking stuff basically is the assassin stuff, and then with the implication of, and that's where they threw all the weirdness into. Yes, I said that. I am one of people. But yeah, I mean, that is usually the way that they can get away with it in past games, because the historical inaccuracies are all contained within the fundamental buy-in of, oh, this is a game about assassins. It's an assassin thing that you have this blade mounted to your wrist that contains a gun and a poison thing, and that's where they can just, like, offload all of the weirdness of, like, oh, it's the secret mystery cult that's doing all the things in the shadows, and that's part of the obvious historical, like, insertion of game fantasy into the world. But in this game, as we've said elsewhere on other streams, and I'm sure you've said before, Yellow, on several occasions, the problem is that the fantasy spills out from the assassin stuff and then just intermingles with all of the Viking and then all of the Norse stuff, and then it's impossible to see where one stops and the other starts, and then where the real things end and where the nonsense begins. Because usually in the AC games, the things that are like historical are okay, up for debate, to various degrees, but it's okay. And the wackiness is always like in the assassin thing, so you can cordon off in your own mind which parts of it are more believable and which parts of it are wackier. And this game just completely destroys the player's ability to look at something and know, okay, is this probably going to be weird, or is this actually probably going to be okay? And that's a lot of where the problem comes from, because even the things that are accurate will be brushed off, and the things that might seem promising are actually completely lies.
Yep, I say, while you were talking, I spent the entire time looking at the statue of Aquarius Hesta? I don't know. Clearly not Norse.
I have no idea who that is. I mean, it's obviously a Greco-Roman statue, but I don't know if that's supposed to be a certain character. If it is, I wouldn't recognize it.
Exactly. My immediate thought was like Aquarius, because the jar of water, but could also be Hestia, Hearth Spirits, whatever. Why is green? Why is color green? Okay, where am I actually going? What am I actually doing? I should figure that out. And then level up. Oh, right. What I've been doing is trying to pick up these things. You know, I'm not going to worry about those because they're dumb. They give you 5 skill points if you collect all 30 of them. So we're going to get some, but we're not going to get all.
Oh, jeez. That's so many for so few skill points.
Actually, it might be 10 skill points. Regardless.
Okay.
Still is, a lot. Still, it's just...
I hate this skill tree.
Still, it's just a lot. But if we go into the inventory, we grabbed a couple of them, so we can actually take a look at what they are. Ymir's Tearstone. The legends say they are fragments of Ymir's frozen trees, or frozen tears. Maybe I can give them as an offering somewhere. So Ymir is the world. He is the original life form, essentially. So in Norse cosmology, you'll often hear like, in the beginning was just the void. This is wrong. In the beginning are 3 things. There is the Gununga Gap, which is truly just the void. Then there is Niflheim, or Niflheim, and Muspelheim, So, ice and fire. By the way, if everyone in chat very kindly pulls up a map of Europe, Niflheim is the Arctic. Muspelheim is the Sahara. That's all the significance there is. They are not these distant, far-off worlds to access by magic portals. No, it's the Arctic and the Sahara. And the heat from the one and the cold from the other mingle and give birth to life in classic medieval just existence. And that being is Ymir. And then other life just kind of magically appears, like the cow Oithumbla, who we will see later in this game. And then other things, like she nourishes herself by licking the ice, and licks out a being called Buri. Buri marries one of Ymir's offspring, where his feet mated with each other? Question mark. Don't question it. And gave birth to the race of the Jötnar, or the Thursar, the giants. And that is, well, it is. That's just a thing. And then married. Was it Bestla? Was it Buri? No, I think it's Bors marries Bestla and then has 3 children. Vili, Via, and Odin. Vili, Via, and Odin decided it is then a great idea to murder Ymir and use him to shape Midgardr. So his brains become the clouds, and his skull... My reindeer cannot swim. His brain becomes the clouds, and his skull becomes the earth, and his eyelashes become... Where's my main quest? My main quest is way the hell over here, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Where do I need to go for that? I need to just go, like, straight across. Yeah. I need to just go, like, straight across. Okay. I was running in circles. Apologies.
Some people in the chat are talking about the Atlantis DLC. Oh, what a mess. Let's not get into it.
Yeah. We will probably eventually get to AC Odyssey, and that will be its own kind of worms.
I will be happy to join for the fat nonsense that is the mythological content in that game.
Nice.
In the actual overgame world, it's pretty good. The Atlantis sections, it's bad.
It's bad.
Who will join us on this wild hunt?
I will.
It's one of the strengths of Odyssey, actually, is the way that they present the more fantastical elements as just existing in the far-off corners of Greece. It's very much, you know, in line with the way that the Greeks would have considered the world. It's like, yeah, you know, if you go to Crete and go under the city of Knossos, you're gonna find a Minotaur in there. And, you know, some people believed it more than others, and as time went on, people are like, actually, maybe not. But the way that they do it in the overworld of the game is really in line with how that mythology actually worked. But, you know, it's not the same situation with Valhalla's England, so they can't really pull all those things, and they just also end up shoving it into everything.
But also, it is how Norse belief worked. Revenants, Afterganger, or Hagbui, Mound Dwellers, existed in the world. People believed in them. Elves existed, though were kind of rare, and tended to live somewhere else. Magic exists. They could have done the same thing and put all these things in, but they choose not to. They choose to take an incredibly, quote-unquote, naturalistic approach.
Have you no appetite? This meat is not to be missed. Take care. He is cunning.
But yeah, instead they just offload it all into Asgard, and offload it into, the Daughters of Larian. Or random hallucinations,
right.
like in the Beowulf quest.
Oh, gosh.
Also, into the very end game.
Yeah.
Like, the Gloucestershire arc does some stuff. And there's some stuff. Anyway, the guys here, Anthrimnir and Saihrimnir, is the cook for the Einherjar, and this boar comes to life each day and serves as the meat for the feasting each night in Valhalla, in Odin's Hall. So that's cool. They did a thing. They referenced the mythology. One whole mythology. Sadly, totally absent here is Hedrun, the immortal goat that chews on the leaves of Yggdrasil and whose udders produce the meat for the warriors. Constantly. Just like that.
I'm sorry, I've gotten the chat talking about AC Odyssey.
You got the chat talking about AC Odyssey, you fool. You buffoon.
Let's get back to Valhalla. Let's get back to Asgard. I know Sparta didn't have a navy. It's bad. The Peloponnesian War is dumb. Let's get back to Scandinavia.
Let's see. Yes.
How many channel points is it to get one whole mythology? Says Niram.
You know, there'll be a challenge eventually on this channel where Twitch will theoretically maybe tell us to pool all of our channel points. And if we do, we will get this channel onto the front page of Twitch.
Really?
As a way to boost small creators. So however many Twitch declares shall be the correct number of channel points for that is how many we need for one whole mythology.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Question answered.
But also don't save your points because you can also do this as a way to change my gear and ruin my day. So your guys' entire free fair choice about what to do with that. Oh yeah,
Warrior, put reins upon your battle lust.
Now let us meet a guy who recently died. I think he probably died in our last raid on the assault on a 14th century castle.
What are your last memories?
Yeah.
And we did that.
Which castle was that?
It was in the Oxfordshire arc. What was it? Carbell?
I remember there's one. I remember there's one particular named castle that they specifically have in East Anglia, but I don't remember what the name of it is.
That one we already have seen. It's Burg Castle, which means Castle.
Yeah, Burg Castle. Castle. There's also, I remember when I was doing the research for something or other, there's a hill somewhere in like the Midlands or Northern England that the name is Scandinavian, well, either the Danish or Norwegian word for hill, the Old English word for hill, and then the modern English word hill. So it's something done hill, and it's like, guys, why do we call this place Hill?
It's Hill.
I don't know
Naming
if you know
things
what it would be, but I can't remember the life of me what that place is called.
I do not remember precisely, but it's Hill. So, I'm procrastinating doing the Well of Arthur because I don't wanna. We're gonna go talk to Thor instead. So they do Thor super dirty in this game. It's kind of tragic because, you know, the popular conception of Thor is pretty dumb and smacks stuff really frickin' hard. And is a god of war in the most literal sense, in that he loves doing war. This is not what Thor is or do or be. He does fight a lot, but all of his battles are mythological. He is the enemy of the Jötnar, of troll women, and of the Midgard serpent, of Jörmungandr.
Shadows of doom. Even this peaceful valley seems to hold hidden dangers.
Stop talking, Owen. I don't care.
Some of the commenters are saying Torpenhow Hill, which I think there's another one that's only 3 instead of 4, because Torpenhow Hill is 4 hills deep, but there was a 3 deep. I don't know.
I don't remember.
Yeah, remember Avon is just with a river. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. But yeah. So basically, the one we're going to be reenacting here is a poem called Haurbaldsljóð, which is, by the way, the worst name. It's perfectly well-formed Icelandic. It is the song of Hárbarður. But you end up with a constant cluster of the Rasalja. Hárbarðsljóð. In which Thor wishes to cross a river. And so he talks to the riverman, Hárbarður, which Grimnismal kindly tells us is a name for Odin. And the ferryman starts insulting him, and Thor starts insulting them back, and Thor loses and storms off to cross the river somewhere else. It's just Odin trolling Thor. It is hilarious, but also a really dumb name for a poem.
I see you there!
Thor, why do you call?
A challenge! Will you face me in fighting?
Note, once again, I will be on my usual thing. The way they do flighting here is probably the worst possible interpretation of how to do flighting.
That I might hear the strength of your conviction.
We had to have one. At least this is a mythological one. This should be in Ljóðaháttur, which is a metrical meter used for dialogues and wisdom poems.
Meet me, I'll show you my might.
Oh, beware what you ask for.
And so instead of having any sort of complex meetings or full stanzas with a progression,
I am endlessly brave. I am adored by the masses.
okay, this one line is pretty cool because Thor is incredibly popular.
A coddled old clod.
I'm as wise as an owl. You're a fool.
It does rhyme. Animex.
You were lucky.
It does. It does rhyme. It also alliterates because Norse poetic meters are stupid complex.
You're a simpering graybeard who will soon meet his
And instead, Thor talks for a bit, and we just add a line.
Well, your victory's not
Yeah,
what
it's
my
definitely
business
a case
forte.
of game mechanics
better than I thought.
having a really difficult time working to include creative speech as a gameplay loop, because really the only thing you can do is to pick from a menu, and like it has its fun, and clearly a lot of people very much enjoy it, but it seems just another example of how stilted dialogue options in these kinds of games are.
Ludicrously stilted, and they have to stop every line to tell you if you got it right.
Yep.
And so, what is flow? What is actually playing off each other? What is doing anything? No.
Yeah.
Just, like, if you know the rules for flighting, you should know the rules for flighting. They explain it to you in incredible detail multiple times throughout this game.
Yeah.
But no, here we are again. Having now reenacted a mythological poem, kind of badly. But Thor is not dumb, right? That's the point, right? Thor here is arrogant, he's challenging Thor, and then is like, oh, you beat me, I will get stronger and I will pummel you into the ground. Adma Bremen tells us that Thor lives in the sky and governs over wind and lightning, winds and fair weather, and crops. And, you know, people have interpreted Sif, his wife, due to her golden hair, as being kind of emblematic of crops, and Thor therefore being a harvest deity. Not totally persuaded on that one, but it's at least something that is in the air.
It's an interpretation.
Thor,
it was a design choice.
Exactly. Thor is an incredibly popular god, and also has a whole cosmological poem in which he does a smart, Alvismal, where someone, dwarf or elf, it kind of goes back and forth, Alvis, all wise, goes and talks to Thor and says, I want to marry your daughter through her. Thor is like, how about no? And so tricks him, and so is asking all these cosmological questions. Question and answer format, as is super common. And Elvis answers all the questions right and gives us a whole bunch of information about the cosmology of the world, and stays talking for too long and the sun comes up and he turns to stone. Tolkien is a hack, by the way. So, yeah, he's not dumb. And all of his battles are mythological. He's not a war god, he's a protective deity and the upholder of the order of the world. Not war. He's a warrior, but not a war god. Those are two different things, and it's pretty clear that he's not just raw smashy dude.
Yeah.
And everyone loves him. He, by the way, of all the gods that get compared to the devil in the Norse corpus, Odin and Thor are the two most common, because Odin and Thor are the two most popular. Loki doesn't. Yeah. Loki is not actually compared in the Norse material to Satan. That's just like people randomly assuming stuff later.
Red and I have had some conversations about this. Stay tuned for a video in 2021. The Loki as Satan analog is completely invented after the fact and has no grounding in the original mythology whatsoever.
Yup. I need to remind Red to send me that script sometime, because I haven't actually seen the final one.
I don't think she's done with it yet.
That makes sense. But yeah. Anyway, we're going now to the Well of Urður.
The sunstone has been moved. The light's path is shifted.
So, the Well of Urður is an incredibly important place according to the Prose Edda. Actually, no, there's one more thing on Thor before we get there. According to Adam Bremen, Thor is the chief of the gods at Uppsala. Odin and Freyr are both below him, and Thor is given the central place. So, you know, that's cool. Once again, we have issues of our source material being super contradictory, as is the case for all of it for Norse mythology. Huzzah! Anyway, Well of Urður. We are largely here going to be drawing on the Prose Edda, because that's the place that describes it in the most detail. It is supposed to be at one of the roots of the tree Yggdrasil, the ash tree of Ygr, Odin. And it is supposed to be the place where the Aesir hold court. Like, they ride across Bifroster to the Well of Earth in order to hold their daily court. While their halls are on one side, the well is on the other. In this game, they said, it's on the other side of Asgard from Bifrost, and also, just is this place that no one is allowed to go, and that is deep underground, where no one can do anything with it. By the way, just, you can read the letter while I finish talking here. Guess who wrote it, and guess who it's directed to. So, the, well is guarded by the three main Nornir, the Norns, who we saw at the beginning. They are not the only Norns in Norse mythology. There are hundreds who do all sorts of local stuff, but these are the three mythological ones. And they water Yggdrasil using the water from this well. And it is so holy that it turns everything it touches white as an eggshell, according to Snorri. And so the tree ends up actually glistening white. And the water dropping off of this is honeydew. And there are two swans that swim in it, and that's why swans are white. Now, given where we are and how this looks, anyone want to bet how the hell swans are supposed to swim in this particular well? Does anyone want to just explain that one to me?
Sploosh.
Sploosh.
Yeah, nothing white about that. That's just a deep dark green.
It's incredibly great. I don't know why I want to be swimming in most of this water.
Huh. Swans are spelunkers, clearly, says Anime 75.
You know, you're not wrong. You're not
Swan
wrong.
with a little hard hat and some little boots on their flippers.
Yep.
Harvey, Loki said you'd be here.
Hello, Tyr. By the way, notice Tyr has the same voice actor as Sigurd. It's a good voice actor. I like him. But just in case you thought this game had one smidgen of subtlety.
Yeah, no. This is the opposite problem to Skyrim, where they got the same guy to voice like half the Nords, so Like, why are all these guys Jarl Balgruuf? Is he in disguise as all these random ass people? It's fully the same voice actor. He's not even trying to be different.
Yeah, like Tyr having 2 hands right now is fine because we haven't even met Fenrir for Tyr's hand to get glomped. But I am curious as to why Tyr doesn't have a beard, given that beards are usually considered a good thing in the Norse world. But this is a case of, I think it's Anglo-American cultural preferences getting in the way of people who are good. Like, people who are super Viking-y have this big long beard. But people who are noble and good and elite often will go clean-shaven because that looks sophisticated. Meanwhile, people who are suspicious have somewhere in between where it looks scraggly and short and dumb, i.e. Loki.
Yeah.
So
and
this
like
is
what they do to Alfred the Great.
Exactly.
I will take it as a challenge.
So this is a case of lots of things kind of intersecting, and has a reason. It's just a bad reason.
The light, but the path has been diverted.
Yes, it has. This is a dumb, stupid puzzle that I struggled with so much my first time because you're supposed to go up here.
What if an invader was trying to weaken the well's defenses?
And you're supposed to kind of just wander around and eventually notice this.
There are 2 targets.
You just zap Tyr.
Once or twice.
And we're supposed to split the beam so we can hit both targets in the place to do the thing.
I doubt the Nornir will appreciate our visit.
The Norn...
Curious are not welcome here.
Stop it, Tyr.
Before they feel our presence.
Also, no, because that's not how they work. But also, they would have no problem with that. Drinking from it is probably not super cool, but yeah, not. I don't understand what they're doing with this narratively.
Streams must find their way home.
Like, I genuinely don't. Nate, stop it. Right? Like, what is... Why are they making the Well of Earther so different? And why does the builder... Oh, there we go.
The stone is lit.
Why do why does this builder need this water to do the thing? By the way, in the meantime though, general cosmology, while I think of an answer to that, underneath each of the 3 main taproots of Yggdrasil, there is a different... Where's the next one for this? Is that supposed to go back to... Supposed to go to about there. Each of the taproots has a source of water underneath it. The Asgard taproot has the Well of Earther. The Jotunheim taproot has the Well of Mimir. And the Niflheim taproot has Fergelmir, the source of lots of rivers and the sustenance for Nidhugger. So, neat bits of cosmology, I guess. Is that lined up? I hope that's lined up. Anyway. Hello? Did you see that?
Yes. What? Oh,
Game?
Jesus. Yeah, there it is.
Game?
Oh my gosh.
Game, hello?
Yeah, sorry, I'm a few seconds behind. But, woo.
Well-programmed
so
game,
janky.
no problems. Odin can do many things. Yeet into a cliff is not one of them. Come on, be good enough. Good enough? No.
His epithet is Odin No Clipper.
Fine, that looks lined up. Okay. Anyway, by the way, yes, our well-attested Norse laser beams. Well said.
Yeah.
Am I still not lined? I am lined up. Please? No?
It was so much easier
No.
when the first
God
civilization
damn
was
it.
just like whatever the AC mythos needed them to be, rather than trying to retroactively insert it into all of the pantheons of world mythology. It's you encounter problems when you try to say, oh yeah, this, oh it's totally this other thing, because then you have to make it match. And that's a lot harder than saying, oh yeah, so this is the first civilization, they're just these weird alien dudes that showed up beforehand. Yeah, that's pretty much all we got. And then suddenly when you're like, oh, it has to also be this and this and this, then it's problematic.
The AC/D floor has gone way the hell off the rails.
Yeah.
By the way, other problem with this well, the swans that are supposed to be swimming in it? Yeah, one is frickin' tiny, and two is way the hell down there. Why? I mean, the reason why this is supposed to be some great secret place is that the Nornir, I think, are working to protect... No, Odin. You know better than that. Down. Is that Odin, or the Nornir, are working to protect the prophecy they just gave Odin. There was a shield that clipped in from nowhere, and part of that means protecting, well, Urther? Hello? Why did you talk? Oh yeah, by the way, here are the Norns, Urther, and I don't remember the middle one's name, and, Skuld. Verizandi, thank you. So yeah, they clearly know we're here, but, yeah, they're trying to protect the, prophecy that they gave us at the beginning, which is the prophecy that Odin is going to get glomped by a wolf. Speaking of wolves, everyone wave hi to... Guess who? Guess who?
Best boy Fenrir.
Best boy Fenrir!
Hell yeah. Oh, this is where the wolf... yeah, I think I remember seeing this in a screen cap. Yeah.
Aw, look at how cute he is. Baby Fenrir.
Looks very different than in the cutscene in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, about that. He grows fast. There's no wolf alive. Gary and Frecky exist, you moron.
There's no wolf alive I can trust.
Harvey, stop!
Ow. He just caught the arrow.
This is a sacred place. Killing here is forbidden.
I mean, none of the poems actually say that, but sure. Sure. Aww. Cute puppy. So, Loki has been raising Fenrir, in secret. And, thing is, in the mythology, it's incredibly explicit. Snorri straight up says the children of Loki, Hel, Jormungandr and Fenrir, were raised in Jotunheim until the gods found out about them. They brought them to Asgard then, and then Hel was given dominion over the dead in Niflheim. Helheim is not its independent world, it's inside of Niflheim. Jormungandr was thrown into the surrounding ocean, where he grew up very big, and then ate his own tail. And Fenrir was kept in, Fenrir was kept inside of Asgard, and was protected by Tyr. He was the only one brave enough to feed, Fenrir. And thank you for the teeny tiny 5 bits, Leander. I appreciate it a lot. And no, we cannot pet the puppy.
Oh, he's so cute, though.
He's so cute! He will stop being cute.
He's gonna murder your family.
He's gonna really do a murder real fast. And by the way, yeah, the swans... The swans... apparently need to swim in that puddle. Because none of this counted as sacred water. Only this one did.
Gosh, only that.
But this is
of that meme where it's like, Fenrir is about to commit a federal crime. He cannot be stopped.
Let's see. So we go down, and then we go over here. And by the way, apparently all this water is brackish. either Asgard is entirely surrounded by fresh water, or the Well of Earth is brackish. I got nothing. But
there's the light engine freaking out.
we are now just in the ocean.
Oh.
We're just in the. We got out of the Well of Earth. And we're just in the ocean.
Loki.
Neat.
Neat. So yeah, super pure holy water, guys. We can't possibly touch it.
Raptoris. Go for a swim at the beach. You're all doomed.
Raptor, there's a kind of wall of light that blocks off the back door, but it vanishes as soon as we open up the Well of Earth. So, let's give the charitable explanation. We just ruined the Well of Earth. Yes, Loki? Also, why do you have, like, this comically overgrown scimitar? You are Norse.
And you found what you were looking for.
It's paying homage to his having come from the Levant, I guess. I don't know.
Right, it's Basm. It's just Basm's sword.
They're being retroactive with their making Basm Loki and Loki into Basm. It's so weird because you get it because they're putting it there to establish a stylistic continuity, but it makes no sense why it's there in this version of it.
Yeah, but Niram, I will. Niram, I'll stop calling it a scimitar when it actually is a real weapon that is historically used, and I will call it the correct weapon. But that weapon sure as hell ain't it.
What is the correct name of the weapon?
A scimitar is a European construct for a group of weapons. It's not an indigenous term used in Persia for any weapon, or in the Levant for anything. But, yeah, that weapon I feel totally comfortable calling a scimitar.
Now tell me plainly, where is the builder?
So
I'm not much of a weapon historian, so this is new to me.
Yep, Niram is our resident weapon historian, so I kind of trust his word on a lot of this stuff. Anywho, Loki, I guess we can talk about him now.
Here we go.
Loki is a sworn brother to Odin, and that's what kind of keeps him in the group. His mother is one of the Alcinir, the female gods. Loife. But his father, Faurboiti, is probably a Jotun. And so he is kind of exists in a liminal space. And it's super weird because unlike the vast majority of Norse names, which are patronymic, Loki's second name is matronymic. He is Loiferson, not Faurboitason. Which is super weird. And Loki is in general. Wait, I'm going the wrong direction. Loki in general is super weird. He isn't attested anywhere before the 10th century, so identifying who the hell he is incredibly hard to figure out. But it appears that he is kind of a transgressive god. And he's able to do all the stuff everyone else can't. Right? So whether or not he was worshipped is a big old question mark, but in the mythological corpus as it survives, he exists, he is extremely prominent, and I think he's almost certainly pre-Christian, but what precisely that means is So
yeah, I'm following along with the comments here about the
Shamshir.
Shamshir, the Persian version of it, which is very curved, and I've seen the Ottoman equivalent of this. Hold on, jump back. The Kilij in Turkey and Egypt, which is the same thing. I saw it at the Museum of Topkapi Palace, which was really cool. They're like so many dope swords. But yeah, this is nothing like what a scimitar is, because the blade is very thin, because it's not meant to be like a big thick blade. It's just meant to have a a good cutting edge, and there's no reason to add all that extra weight to it.
Exactly. Turns out there comes a point where adding more material ends up being dumb. Like, you know, a certain sword what I have. Nope. Game. A certain quote-unquote Carolingian longsword. Which is a scaled up, by the way. It's just a scaled up one-handed sword.
Peter says, save here, this can be buggy.
I just did.
Okay, sweet.
Yep. But, you know, this lovely, lovely one-handed sword that they ballooned up into a comically large blade. That sword's neat, though they did a weird thing in the hilt there. You can see there's writing. That writing should be along the blade. It reads Ulfbert, which, you know, makes it one of the potentially super cool swords, also potentially one of the super shitty knockoff swords.
Yeah.
Kappa Crab, Falchion
there's a great episode of
Just want to answer this one thing quick. Yep, Falchion is a German weapon. It's a late medieval, early modern German, kind of in the same class as something like a Grossemesser, a big knife, single-edged European weapon. It's not used in the Levant. So anyway,
we found the perfect spot.
I was gonna say there's an episode of the YouTube show Man at Arms Reforged where they do make a version, a rendition of an Ulfbert sword, and it's very cool hearing them talk a little bit about some of the history behind it and why they were like so famous, and then also why there are infinity knockoffs of it, even in the period.
Yeah, there are some that are genuine, like imported crucible steel from Damascus, and then there's a bunch that are basically you're welding a hard edge onto an otherwise very soft sword and then carving the name in and pretending that that's the same thing. Okay, here they mention Hugr magic. What? Yeah, Hugr magic. What the fuck is Hugr magic? Hugr just means thought. Occasionally can mean mind. They'll use it in this game for soul a lot, but no, it's thought or mind. And so that is thought to be contained in the heart, which has the name of Hookstone, the Thought Stone. But no, it's just a kind of hurt with dirt magic that the giants practice.
Easy. Remember, just place it. Don't break.
I was going to say, tag yourself with the Elmsley typology of falchions. I'm F3C.
Incredible. Exactly, Alatar. Both the Raven...
in the comments.
Exactly. The Raven Huon is thought, and in the tale of Thor and Utgard the Loki, Thjalfi races a Jotun called Hugr, which is a manifestation of Utgard the Loki's thoughts.
That's well enough. Exactly the right spot.
That's enough of them.
What now, Builder?
So he's painting stuff on this stone, which is actually fine. Runic inscriptions, when they are magical to some extent, are sometimes carved into stone and then painted. Halvamal actually has descriptions of a charm to raise the dead temporarily. Actually says, I painted the runes. So what this guy's doing is fine, though the how he's doing it is weird. Anyway, we're going to stand on this rock that's definitely not a Greek pillar. What are you talking about?
There. Will that do?
It will indeed.
And so this myth
There it is. A thing of beauty.
is the tale of the building of the walls of Asgard, as told in the Prose Edda. This also happens to be the myth of the birth of Sleipnir.
With pleasure. Draw some invaders out from the woods and into the shield. Alive, of course. They must be alive.
The Baron
So-
will not harm me as I cross.
You have my word, Harry.
Uh-huh. So, anyway, so apparently Sleipnir isn't born yet, and he will never be born because this game, Svavelfari does not exist, and so Sleipnir will never be born. So this is supposed to be the, Smiður, is the name he uses. By the way, his super fancy runes here, is the alphabet. These are the 4th, 5th, and 6th letters of the Elder Futhark, which is called Futhark because the first 6 letters are F, U, Thorn, A, R, K. These letters here are A, R, K.
Wow.
So, quality inscriptions, my guy. Anyway, so in the myth, they're getting super worried about the Hrimthursar and the Jötnar crossing the mountains around Asgard and penetrating in. And so this myth comes and says, I'll build you a great wall, but my price is I want the sun and moon and Freya as my bride. And they're like, okay, yeah, sure, but you can only use your horse to help, and you must complete it in 1 month. And so they complete it in... He almost makes it. He's quarrying and working really, really well. And Loki is the one who persuades them to do this, because they're thinking, you know, maybe this isn't worth the effort. Loki pushes for it and is like, yeah, fine. Thor, at this moment, is conveniently off in the mountains to the east, smiting trolls. So then they go around and they say, hello, everyone?
Hello. Here, you stinking shits, skulking about like cowards.
Ta-da! And so he builds for about a month, and he's on the last row of bricks. On the last night, Loki then turns into a mare and distracts Valhalla so no work gets done. And they go, yeah, we did... Therefore, we did it. And the smith is so angry that he reveals himself to be a mountain giant. And then Thor comes back and smites him with the hammer, and problem done. Some months later, Loki gives birth to the stallion Sleipnir, who has 8 legs and is the best of horses, and Odin takes him as awesome. Hello. Now these guys, by the way, they're called cutthroats, which means that they are truly just... They are the exact same entities as the bandits. Like, they're just the bandits that we have been dealing with the entire game, but the Blue Man Group version.
Yep. Also, I see some comments saying that the alphabet inscription is FRK rather than ARK.
Is it? Oh, yes,
Perhaps.
it is. Yep. You are actually correct. A would have downward-facing stems, not upward-facing. So all the ones were... So that is actually...
But still, it's just them saying FERK.
FERK. FERK. Where are these swarm of guys?
Summons an army, but it's as weak as your word. It burns.
Man, there's clearly so much work that was put into this game, but it's like the entire game was half-assed because they just wanted it to be so big, and they wanted to have Norway and England and Asgard and Jotunheim and Vinland. It's just,
by the way,
if they did like 3 out of 5, would have been okay. But they decided to do so much extra.
If anyone if anyone is interested, we are 2 weeks away from doing Vinland in our 9th century Vikings game.
Yeah, now, if you were... it wouldn't have been okay. It would have been better.
If anyone wants to figure out, shield working again. So make sure you all are followed and subscribed to here. By the way, if you have an Amazon account, you can subscribe here for free. To make sure that in 2 weeks, when I lose my mind again at Vinland existing in the 9th century and literally ruining plot from previous games, yeah. You don't want to miss that one either.
It held. The shield worked wonders.
Yeah, and then that's right, they're also going to have an entire Ireland and an entire France. God, they're trying to make this game so big. It's just too much.
Exactly.
It's too much.
While it would have been cool to have a game that actually explores a bunch of different places on the margins of the Viking world,
materials we can find.
They instead tried to make one place as full as they could, instead of having a bunch of just traveling and having individual levels. to do stuff.
If England was smaller, it would have helped a lot. Because the idea of like going between a bunch of different places, like going from Norway to England to Ireland to France to taking a hop off in Asgard becomes a lot more manageable when each of those worlds isn't insane, and just the England map alone is like bigger than AC Origin's entire Egypt. It becomes a lot easier if you don't try to make everything chock full of so much extra stuff most players aren't even going to see, and then you can get that sense of like traveling and being, you know, at sail and on the move without having to spend so much effort making so much just raw square footage of game.
Basically,
yes, I was pissed. Someone says, then why is Constantinople not a thing? The one thing I wanted from this game was to go to Constantinople, and they stole that from me.
Yep. Basically, what I want is for us to be playing as Basim and Hytham, and then you're just bouncing around, like, we could start in Constantinople, be Basim and Hytham, screw the meta plot, and just go around existing. Right? We go around, we just exist, we bounce to Spain for a bit, we go to Iceland, we can go to Iceland, I don't know, make Ingolvar, no, not Ingolvar, his brother, who was generally stupid and got killed in a slave revolt in the 880s, shortly after he settled in Iceland. You can have us incite that slave revolt and kill him and have that be a single level in Iceland, and then we could go off and leave and go to Spain and explore the margins of the world. Also set the game in the year 1000, not in the year 800 something.
Yeah,
you know,
they wanted that Viking goodness, so they set it in the Great Army, but that really kneecaps them in a lot of other ways.
It super does. It is my least favorite time period, but for like 50 years, this has been the only time period in which you can... the only acceptable Viking time periods are the Great Heathen Army and Leif Erikson.
Yeah. The one thing that I wanted to say on Constantinople is beyond my just own like rampant fanboyism, which is fine. I'm surprised that they didn't go for it in this game, at least as just a cameo appearance, because Constantinople has been like on the fringes. Like Byzantine Constantinople has been almost done in, at this point, like 2 independent other Assassin's Creed games, because AC1 there was cut content where Altair was supposed to go to Constantinople, and they didn't end up doing that. And then in AC Revelations, which takes place in, you know, Ottoman Constantinople, there was supposed to be an Altair section of the game where you are in Constantinople, which explains like all of the you know, the seals and stuff, because we know that Altair was there. It's just that it's never shown in the game, and it could have been part of his plot thing, whatever. But I was hoping, like, come on, this is gonna be the game. This is gonna be where they do it. The whole game will be redeemed if they just put it in Constantinople, and then they didn't.
And then they just had Sigurd go there before the plot even starts.
Yeah. Such a waste. Such an absolute waste.
Yep, I don't love it. I just super don't. Anyway, we're going to take a break after all of the badness here. I'm going to listen to Vili and Via, which for some reason they specify that Vili is the Aesir? Like, Vili and Via don't have other options. They're the brothers of Odin. That's what they are, what they do.
A corpse as tall as the day is long, spanning the abyss Genungaga. Oh yes, oh yes.
Some conversation about whether the Vikings raided Constantinople. There were attempts, which were not successful. There was one in, like, I want to say 870,
860.
Coming down the 860 coming down the Volga into the Black Sea, and there was an attempted raid of Constantinople, which the Byzantines said, okay, no, but like also you're good. Can we hire you? And that's where the Varangians came from. So some speckled attempts, but nothing like, you know, 880 whatever siege of Paris. Nothing successful.
I'm being greedy. Ha! Huh. I got it. But yeah, the Varangians were not unusually super cool, super warriors. They just kind of were. And you know they had
they're just guys.
They're just guys. They were fine. They were about average, maybe a little bit better. But by and large, the fact that they're foreigners means that they tended to not get wrapped into local politics, which is super important. And then they got paid ludicrously well, which ensures that you have a force that, unlike the Praetorian Guard, you know, they learned. They learned from the Praetorian Guard that, no, bringing in mercenaries for a few years at a time is probably a better idea.
Yep. Yeah, for all the problems the Byzantines faced, they fixed a lot of problems from the earlier Roman period.
Sure did. But yeah,
credit to them.
But you know that means some weird stuff happens, like being legally allowed, if the emperor dies before the new one is picked, to go raid the Byzantine treasury. Varangians were legally allowed to do that, which is just a thing. What exists and does stuff.
Kappa Crab says, Machiavelli says specifically not to use mercenaries. Ha. He has an entire chapter about why not to use mercenaries. In Italy, the situation was a little bit different in the early 1500s, specifically because the use of mercenaries was in place of having any state-standing army. There were almost no actual, like, native armies in Italy. Almost everyone paid for mercenaries as a substantial portion of their forces to be used in battle, and that's why they got steamrolled by the French, Germans, and Spanish so easily, because they had standing armies and Italy just didn't. Machiavelli's like big thing that he implemented while he was working in the non-Medici period was getting Florence to have a militia. That was like his one thing that he did. And it was like, thank God we have this. And then eventually the Medici came back and they kind of said, screw that. But from Machiavelli's perspective, trying to wean his city off mercenaries was a very important goal.
By the way, Green-Blooded, you say that the Varangians were from Sweden. The Varangians as a people are... Byzantine sources do claim that they're from Sweden. But for the Varangian Guard, specifically, frickin' everyone went. It's not unique to being Swedish, because the King of Norway, Haraldr Hardrada, who died in 1066 in England, spent his youth in Constantinople as a Varangian.
Yeah. Also, never trust where a Byzantine says someone comes from, because the term Scythian was still used to describe people in the northern Balkans as long as there were Byzantines to write about it, even though the Scythians are exclusively an ancient period society.
I wouldn't even go mostly Swedes. It is some portion Swedes, but there aren't ethnographic, or there aren't a census of Varangians that's asked, where did you come from, to give them places that we can confidently identify. So we can't even say that much.
Yeah. Is it kind of like within England where people will kind of say Danes and Norwegians almost interchangeably, even though they wouldn't have actually had a very strong grasp of which group it was?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly what happened. And so, you know, the people of the Kievan Rus kind of get merged in, you know, being somewhere from the original Varangians, according to, like, the Primary Chronicle, in Old Church Slavonic, and Byzantine Chronicles are probably from somewhere in eastern Sweden, but they could also be referring to the people along the north coast of Poland, Norse peoples along the north coast of Poland in the trading towns that were brought in, according to the Primary Chronicle, to settle irreconcilable disputes among the leading tribes of the Volga River. And brought in and said, hey, rule over us because we suck at settling our own disputes. They're like, yeah, sure, that sounds good. And then they did. And therefore we have the, like, the Scando-Slavic state of the Kievan Rus kind of slowly forms around that. So...
I once again apologize for dragging the focus of this conversation southeast.
No. It is an incredibly cool part that really we are only finally truly going really crazy for. Right, that is one of the big trends in modern scholarship, is to really go like, hey, we finally have access to learn a whole bunch of stuff about this. Let's figure out what's actually going on in the Baltic and in the Slavic countries right around then. And see what we can learn more using modern research methods. And it's super cool, and it's super poppin'.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to see what the field looks like in like 10 or 20 years when we're able to kind of have, a full generation of researchers taking advantage of the like ability to go to Eastern Europe.
I will let you know next year. I'll let you know next summer where we're at, because the next International Saga Conference, which is going to be in 2022, is in Helsinki and Tallinn, and is themed around the Baltic.
Oh, that rules. Oh, that rules.
Yeah, and I'm getting to speak at it, so, like...
Yo, that's right. I forgot. I remembered you had mentioned that, but I forgot that that's the one.
Yeah. It got postponed because of plague, but...
Yeah. You cannot survive.
Don't worry about the axe. The axe is, axe. It's axe-flavored axe. Anyway, so this
body spray is to perfume is what that axe is to axes.
To axes. Yes. So basically, what this guy's sad about is that his wife did not die in battle, and so she went to hell. Well, he did, and he went to Valhalla.
Oh, that sucks.
It super sucks. By the way, this well, apparently you open the grate and it just drops straight to hell. Helheim is fake. Stop calling it Helheim 2021, because it's not referred to in that way in the medieval corpus. It's just hell. Hell rules hell. And hell is inside of Niflheim.
So I guess, is it 8 realms instead of 9?
Nope, there are 9 realms, but no one knows what the 9 are, and anyone who says they do is lying.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So, yeah, at the beginning of Völuspá, the CRS says, 9 worlds I see.
Okay.
And Snorri goes like, yeah, sure, there are 9 worlds. I don't need to say what they are. But Alfheim, one of them that's often proposed is Alfheim. Alfheim in the Prose Edda is structurally a place within Asgard. Well, kind of. There's Asgard, which is a heaven, and then there's another heaven south and above that, which is called Andlanger. And then up and south of that is Vidblauen, another one that we saw earlier. There was a side quest earlier about that. And supposedly, he claims maybe the Ljósalfar live there right now, but that's the hall that will survive Ragnarok, is way up there in the Great White Blue. Which is literally what that name means, by the way. Vidblauen is the White Blue. Yeah. So, Alfheim probably, isn't a thing. That's an independent world, maybe. Possibly. Svartalfheim, Snorri may have just made up the Svartalfheim completely. And he just says they live underground, so is that one of the worlds? Is Utgarder a place that's a different world than Jotunheimr? I don't know.
I see a comment from Alatar Maya. The 9 realms are just fucking punt again.
Yup. They basically are. There is no rhyme, reason, or logic about it. And so we just know that there are 9 of them, and literally everything you see on it is fake. So let me lay out where definitely 5 of them are. I can definitely lay out where 5 of them are, and you need a map of Europe for this. Europe is Midgarder. Specifically Scandinavia, but really just Europe is Midgarder. The Sahara is Muspelheim. The Arctic is Niflheim. The Atlantic Ocean leads to Utgardr. To some distance, and that's maybe the same as Jotunheim, but Jotunheim really is surrounding the whole thing. So, just kind of on the edges of the world ocean is Jotunheimr and possibly Utgardr as something different. Asgard is somewhere in the mountains. Oh, shit. I need to actually, like, help this guy, probably. Oh, no, he's immortal. Ha. Get dunked on. By the way, these guys...
Why has this noble stag wandered so far from the tree Yggdrasil?
What?
The sight of this majestic creature gives my own heart wings.
So...
Same spirit.
Yeah, Asgard is somewhere in the mountains on the borders of Sweden. Probably. That's my best guess. And that also leads over to Jotunheim. Anyway, now we get to meet the 5 question mark stags that feed on Yggdrasil, Darwin, and Duneyr. And so, you know, these have been interpreted as being possibly referring to astronomy, and the Yggdrasil is supposed to be like the Milky Way. Sometimes very badly, sometimes less badly. The most recent person to do this is Gisli Sigurdsson, and he does it actually quite well. But by and large, there's a whole ton of animals that live in or around Ragnarok, or sorry, in and around Yggdrasil, and they are just completely mysterious. We don't know why they are. Right? They don't have significance, they don't appear in myths, they're just catalogued as existing.
Was this simply a gathering of the hallowed herd?
Oh, by the way, yes, these are in fact white-tailed deer. Just don't worry about it. You are correct, Nero.
I'm writing these notes down on the realms. I'm going to share them with Red later.
These are just American white-tailed deer in Scandinavia in the 9th century. They could even have the dignity of giving us, like, ow. What?
Come from a place of joy or fear.
I cannot hurt these wolves.
Uh-oh.
I can't hurt the wolves.
That seems
run,
like a problem.
everyone run away.
Oh, this game is so jank.
This game is so jank. They appear to have, like, last time I played this on the main file was before the big patch, and they seem to have decided that, hey, the solution here is that, you know, there were enemies around, so the quest simply didn't spawn. The solution is to just kill off all the enemies while the quest is running, except that then they made the wolves immortal.
I had a problem in my early game when the first time you go to meet with Valka, I was on the 1.0.2 patch because I was like, oh, a new patch, day 1, yeah, sure, I'll download it. And then apparently, if you're on that patch, it makes the quest unplayable.
Oh, well,
so
that destroyed us for a long time.
Really?
Like, there were several weeks where Valka lands in England and then would refuse to go, like, to her house.
Oh my gosh.
Just refuse. Straight up.
This is problematic. One of my friends, again, Hookplay podcast guys, Lawson was explaining a situation in which he encountered no fewer than 5 game-breaking bugs, specifically in the late game. So we had to like borrow a friend's cloud save and play through it that way because he got like stuck in this room and there was a door that wouldn't open. It's just, what an absolute nightmare of a game.
Yep. I don't know why this birch tree has runes on it, by the way. I'm not going to translate all these runes because you can't read half of them. And also, no. I'm not nearly good enough with runes to even attempt that. Runes are incredibly frustrating to translate, by the way. On the grounds of they can be written any orientation. Read either direction. Generally just kind of exist. Very confusingly. Actually, where do I need to go? I need to go over here. Because that's the last quest on this side, and I'm not getting to go over here very often. So we're going to clear up the last side quest before we continue with the main story all the way over here.
I'll probably have to hop out and grab some lunch in like 15 minutes or like half an hour.
Yep.
But
that makes
I
sense.
will press on as we make our way towards the next.
Exactly.
Part of this,
I'm going to delay my
I don't actually know how much game there is left in Asgard without like going through all the side stuff.
There's probably an hour and a half of main story left.
Okay.
But yeah, they Jackson Crawford consulted on a lot of the runes, and so some of them are at least plausible or meaningful, but then it seems that a lot of them just kind of aren't.
Yeah.
So, right, I am not going to be the one to do the comprehensive study of runes in this game, because I am not a runologist. I can barely read them at the best of times, because they are annoying and difficult and generally suck. Because, yeah, they can be written any direction. Bind runes exist, so you can just combine, like, any two runes. Like, the symbol for Bluetooth is actually a bind rune of the B and T runes for Harald Lorton. So, yeah. They definitely tried in a lot of ways, but I'm not sure they succeeded. And yeah. I guess I can talk about magic and runes though, because while runes are not inherently magical, we're going to see this near the end where they're painting an individual rune to try and be something significant, and it ends up being just dumb, because that's not how runes work. What makes runes magical, when they are magical, is specific words put on a specific object with a specific incantation for a specific purpose. In other words, the way magic works frickin' everywhere else. The idea of individual runes have meaning emerges in the early modern period. The big grimoire for it is from the 17th century, but there are 16th and potentially late 15th century ones that do the same. But it's clearly not present in the actual medieval period, much less in the Viking Age. What there is, though, is that certain words seem to be consistently associated with magic. Some of those words are Aulu, A-L-U, which means beer, by the way. And the other main one is Loikaz, or L-A-U-K-A-Z. So I guess in really Old Norse it's Laukaz, right? Laukaz? Something like that.
No. Who shut you up in here? You should be free.
So it's ale and onion end up being consistently associated with magic stuff. Laukaz is
Nothing less than a god could confine this
well
ancient creature against
and truly just liquor, as in leak.
Or do I imagine ill omens where none exist?
Anyway, this is Oidumbla. She is the massive, immortal cow that emerged from nowhere for no reason, in order to sustain Ymir, and also to lick Buri out of the ice. She's just a cow. I feel you. You are near. Cow? Cow, what direction are we going, cow? And thank you, Wickerfiend, so much for the subscription. I appreciate that so much. Oidumbla, please moo at us again. I don't want to go into Trollton. Just want to moo. Hello, are you going to finish the world event? Exactly, AC. But, you know, onions and garlic were thought to have preservative properties, and so were some of the...
drove this primeval creature. Even the gods are subject to common needs. Make your thirst, man-maker. May you bring forth new
What is
things
the
to
cow
make
doing?
us
What is the cow... What is the cow doing?
Jedi business, go back to your drinks.
Okay. Sure. Well-animated licking. I think she's supposed to be licking the ice, as she do. But,
This game.
Boing. Boing.
It's an ancient meme. We don't have the context for it anymore.
Exactly. But yeah, so we're just not going to worry about Troll Village. Well, Troll Tooth? Troll Tooth is what the name of this is. Look at this lovely kind of stone crenellated keep of a mix of styles from a long time. Oh, crap. Dang it, someone...
Oh.
Actually, I actually got attacked.
Teleport?
He can in fact teleport, don't worry about it.
Weird.
Totally an attested thing, we promise. It's not an attested thing.
Yes,
but yeah.
I like ice cream, my whole body just levitates up and down.
So yeah, I don't know why this exists. By the way, Asgard, the world of the gods, can only be accessed from the giant realm by the magic portal way over by Bifrost, right? That's why they're trying to see, or, well, that's the main way in, and everything else is difficult and hard, and they have to be careful. Also has a troll fortress right here. Also has a chasm that goes straight to Utgardr. Well, this says Utangard is the farther out place. Just has a one that goes, just has like a volcanic chasm that goes to Utgardr right here chilling. No attempts to block it off. But no, definitely the only place that can do stuff. And yeah, Trolltooth is just a place that exists. So, 10 out of 10, the gods are good at their job, and Asgard is a pleasant place in which no evil things can... I killed a puffin. I got leather off of a puffin. Game? Are you okay, game?
Oh my god. What? Oh jeez. I'm losing the ability to construct, like, proper sentences and make anything resembling an interesting point about anything. This game is just messing with me so much right now.
Haha! So... heads up, chat.
Puffin leather and the leather now.
Blue has lost his sanity faster than I did. My promotion material was a lie.
Gosh, honestly, the thing is that I haven't actually touched this game since November, so I've kind of forgotten just how bad it is. Because I quit. I did the London arc, and I was like, the one thing that I really want to see in this game is how they do London, because it's a city full of Roman ruins, and that's like the thing that I think is going to be most interesting to me personally, and has the least propensity to be messed up with like icky, gross religious nonsense, the way that they just completely exoticize every other thing in this game. And then I played through the London arc, and it was only fine. It was unoffensively boring, and I'm like, cool, I do not care enough to go to Jorvik and Winchester. I think I'm just done. I'm just done.
Yeah, Jorvik's okay because you have Ljuvina, the person from Bjarmeland that we saw early in the game. That's like the entire redeeming factor of Jorvik, is that exists. Now, how am I supposed to get up there? Am I supposed to climb this tree? I feel like I'm supposed to climb this tree in particular.
So anyway, yeah, that's why I quit Valhalla and started playing Immortals instead. Actually, first I quit Valhalla to play Hyrule Warriors, which is a much better game. And then I played Immortals, and that is very fun. Although I'm still very slow in that game. I've only just done the Aphrodite stuff and started on the Athena sections on stream on Thursday, actually. Which was a time marred by technical issues, as always.
Yep.
But it's a much better version of the game because they just run with the fact that it's a fantasy and somehow stick closer to the actual source material than they do in Valhalla, even though it is explicitly a fantasy setting. It's still more authentic.
Exactly. They let mythology be weird, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest difference, is that they let mythology be weird. This game cannot let the mythology be weird. It just refuses.
It has to make it cool.
And, like, fit into the lore and be realistic or stuff, right? This game is incredibly naturalistic in that everything has a logical explanation for us here in our reality, in our perception of the world, and all the cool characters follow that and everyone else is superstitious. But no. Anyway, once again, I am struck by the amount of effort everyone puts into their letters. They can totally read and write in the 9th century, in a non-literate society. And second, look at the illumination on this letter.
Oh my god. That's
It's beautiful.
insane.
This is a beautiful, like, English insular style. This is a lovely example of early medieval English unsealed text with illumination in a particularly insular style, found in like the Lindisfarne Gospels, the Book of Kells, you know, all those super cool manuscripts that are rad as hell. Just a letter.
And they stabbed a knife through it. They stabbed a blade into it.
Yup. Letter for Thor. Husband to my mother, they call thee Lord of Lightning, but you're nothing near so swift, no more nimble than a boar, and quick like a brown bear in winter. Do you dare a treetop challenge? They typo there. Do you dare a treetop challenge that I should read? Do you a dare treetop challenge? Can you dance on Iron Branch as I flew across Ring Courtney's oars before I fell to funeral flames? Wait. What? Wait, what? Okay, that's actually a big deal. Ring Courtney is the ship that Baldur is buried in. Or burned to death, or his funeral pyre ship. Which means Baldur is already dead at this point in the game, and they just fail to mention it for the entire story arc.
Which means that we should be in Ragnarok, actively.
I mean, not quite. Baldur is the point, arguably...
First. I forgot about that. I forgot about Winter.
Nah. It's actually a long-ass time between Baldur dying and Ragnarok happening. But it's at the point where Ragnarok is the sign at which Ragnarok must happen. It is the kind of big significant thing, and then kind of sort of not really, we are in the state in between. And so like all the Eddic poems are after Baldur dies, mostly, except for, you know, Baldur's Draumr, which is right before he dies, because it's his dream.
Yeah.
But like Vafthrudismal is Odin seeking information about Ragnarok. Völuspá is him seeking information about Ragnarok. And so, like, Vafthrudismal, obviously, Baldur is dead. The last question is, what did I whisper to my son as he lay on his funeral pyre? Kinda gotta be dead. But yeah, that's not in a God of War fucked that up. It's not a 1, 2, 3. Here we go.
Gotcha.
But it's at the point, right, because of it, Valli is born, which guarantees that Loki is going to be bound because Valli is the one that kills Loki's son with Sigyn. Maybe. Arguably. Bit of confusion in the source material there. But Loki will brag about it, so Loki will be bound, which will embitter him against the gods permanently, so when he breaks free, he will lead Nalfar, the Ship of Nails, to the final battle at Iðavöllr. So, right, that's the point where everything gets set in motion, but we're a long time coming yet. Anyway, Ullr.
Gotcha. Okay.
This is the extent of appearance of Ullr. Is this hall, which is tiny and boring and sad and nowhere near as cool as it's supposed to be. Ullr, you know, that's about as much material we have for Ullr in the entirety of the mythological corpus. We know he kind of vibes around with the Aesir a lot, and that he is Thor's stepson. The Old Norse literally reads Stupsonur. It's the same word.
Wow.
So, quality cognates. But we know he was way more important than he used to be, because there are a lot of he used to be way more important than he is in the Eddas. Because there are place names all over central Sweden that say, like, Ulshof. Like, this is a temple to Ullr. And so he seems to have been actually really kind of important and popular in at least Sweden in the Viking Age. And then the oral traditions that turned into the Eddas, he wasn't important to that group of people. And so he gets relegated to just kind of existing in the background. So, which introduces us to our problems. So we are going to take a kind of break as we get back up here to Hlithskjalf. In fact, we'll actually just bamf up there quick. We're going to go up to Hlithskjalf. And then we're going to take a quick break so I can grab a bite to eat. And I know you've got to get going. So
we'll hop out, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll take
I'm starting to lose my ability to participate intelligently. I'm just
exactly.
like, huh, cool, huh, weird.
So as we overlook here, if you are subscribed to the channel, you will see no change apart from everything going silent for a while. And otherwise, there will be a roughly 60-second ad break, and then we will return to play the rest of this arc, however long that takes. So yeah, by the way, please do consider subscribing if you enjoyed this, because yeah, it helps the channel a lot. You know, eventually it's going to be like a Demon Souls playthrough. That would be cool.
Ooh,
and all the money goes right back into the channel. So it is super appreciated. Whatever support you can give, it's cool. Anyway, 60-second ad break, and then we will return.
All right, peace, friends.
Okay, we are back. Apologies everyone, that took a little bit longer than expected, but thank you so much to everyone who's sticking around. And apologies if there's eating noises on stream, I am very hungry. I know, I miss Blue too. He is... We already miss him.
Where is everyone?
Anyway, yeah, good question. Where did everyone go? At their random table in open air. This is actually a thing that lots of scholars have kind of argued for at various times, especially older scholars, that the temples were these big open air natural events, and so, you know, replace all these dumb Greek columns with trees, and that would pretty much get the idea of what some of these big festivals are supposed to look like. In some places, that's totally legitimate. Gamla Uppsala clearly has an open-air component, and lots of what are thought to be god houses of some kind are actually really, really bloody small. But this is not always the case, and inside our longhouse, which, by the way, there are 0 longhouses, despite that being what a hall is. There are none in Asgard, for no reason. And, a lot of the sacrifices and feasting would take place inside of those in an indoor space. So, like, Hlithskjalf is actually supposed to be underneath a silver roof built by the gods in a hall. Oh, I actually have a friend who did a class project on a class we did on reception studies in Norse stuff, which is how I got into this. But she did her entire final project on Saint Seiya, so it is actually has so much Norse adaptation in it, and a lot of it is just kind of exoticism yoinking names, but some of it is actually pretty cool. Oh! Well, that would explain that. I'm glad you could make it, Barbara. I super appreciate it, and I hope you're having a good time watching and being as confused as I am. So, by the way, remember that cute puppy? Remember that super cute puppy? Tyr, Lord of Kennels. Garmer. Wait, what is Garmer doing here? What is Garmer doing here? Garmer is supposed to be bound before the gates of hell and howl when Ragnarok comes, and is one of the bridge guardians to Hell's Hall. So, literally his name just means monster. Well, technically originally refers to a wizard's implement of some kind, but at this point means monster. Is one of several words that means monster. So, Gander and Garpner both mean that. So, yeah. Maunagar is another one of these with that name, literally, like, I guess the moon dog, but is a name for Fenrir's son.
It could swallow the moon next month if it continues to
We cannot pet this puppy.
I know your mind, Javi, but this wolf is not your enemy.
Yes, it is.
Signs of Ragnarok, when it comes, will be clear for all to see.
Sure they are, Tyr.
You roll bones in a game
Tyr.
you don't understand.
That may be, but I'll assume the risk. If there's a price to be paid.
So they are really leaning into the fosterer of Fenrir, or fosterer of the wolf, in this scene.
She's teaching Thor about organizing armies. A battle they're both
Again,
losing.
Come along then. You must all hear what I have to say.
By the way, also, Fenrir can talk, just in case anyone is confused or it was curious. Fenrir is extremely intelligent and can talk, and obeys kind of warrior ethoses.
I did.
Because, like, he specifically says, you know, I don't trust y'all. I super don't trust, y'all, when you guys are gonna have me put on this. But I'm also not a coward, so I'll do it. But I need someone to do a safeguard. And all the gods go, and then they, Tyr goes, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And then Tyr loses his hand, and all the gods laugh.
Javi, you look troubled.
The builder gave me a demonstration of his magic.
Anyway, Freya and Odin being married is a thing attested in 14th century texts, specifically Sörklafauter, which is part of the saga of Olavur Tryggvason.
What does he want?
In that one, Odin is actually the worst, is a semi-immortal sorcerer king living in Asia, and Freya is his extremely licentious consort, who sleeps with dwarves to get the necklace Brisingamen because she is petty and gold tricky and also very horny all the time. Very horny all the time. And so...
I evaded his question to gain us time. Time to devise a better idea.
One that does not involve selling off your
so this is attested in medieval stuff, but is stuff that does not like either of those characters. Freya basically becomes a demon and tricks people, Heathen and Högni, into ensuring that they will end up in a perpetual war between each other, each with 20 followers under them. This is called the Hjalningavig, which is incredibly old, but in this late adaptation is provoked by Freya being awful.
When he forfeits, as he no doubt will, Freya remains
Nitrina, yes, almost certainly yes. While the authors of sagas are usually anonymous, there are only the last style of saga has been persuasively argued to have been written by a woman.
The builder is a proud man.
he won't back down from a challenge.
Yes, Cahalan, that is exactly who this is. And they wrap this up to being the story at the exact same time as the raising of Fenrir. And they're trying to do both stories at the same time, and are generally doing things badly.
You were eager to see the deal done.
Tyr was.
We're Acid. She's Vanir.
So, stop it. The term Vanir may have been made up by... Oh, Fenrir escaped. Well, crap. Hang on, you just said shit in Old Norse. Skeet.
Out of the way.
Here we go.
Mine. Stand clear. I will catch it.
Here we go. So, by the way, here's the part where we will figure out who Fenrir is. Because he's gonna, like, yee himself off a cliff here.
Are you the wolf foretold? Are you my doom? Are you
Yep.
destined to destroy me? I am the Death Walker. I am the living ghost. I cannot die. We will see which is stronger, your fate or my will.
Yep. Sure we will. I actually like that statement a lot. I don't like a lot of the statements they make, but that one of the contest between, I guess, his fate and my will is actually really, really good, because a contest of some variety... Oh, crap. I just got yoinked across... Oh, okay. The idea of there being a contest between kind of two people's attributes, usually luck or nepper, but also could be other things, is totally a legitimate Norse thing, right? That's just part of the... That is a legitimate part of the mythology in a very meaningful sense. Ah, dang it, I was on the wrong side of the... Wrong side of the dog. Ow. Fine. Ah yeah, we're just fighting a dog. Casual-like. Casual-like. And got the... that up. And we are just gonna beat the crap out of this wolf, right? Oh, that was mean. I have missile reversal and I just didn't use it there. So that's exciting.
If I spare your life, will you
Fenrir did in fact use rock throw. He's a cutie. He's a cute dog. He'll only eventually be way too tall for his own good. Oh. No, I think that's a yeet, right? I want to get the stun attack off. I don't think I'm going to get the stun attack off unless I do this thing. Nope. Whiffed it. There you are. Oh, no, that one. There we go. Oh, well that finished the fight. Okay.
I've warned you well, and look where it has led!
State your X!
The wolf clipped into the ground. Well-programmed game, no problems. The wolf is inside the middle of the ground. Unfortunately, Blue had to take off on the grounds that it is an hour later for him, and he needs to actually do things. So Blue is actually no longer here. Sorry, Korok.
To never spill my blood.
Step aside, and I won't have to.
This is my blood.
What?
What?
He is my son.
Odin looks horrified at this idea. For no... I don't know. Yeah. So essentially in this scene is...
You've cared for this wolf. You will be its jailer. Take it to Lingby. Find it there. Make sure it never leaves the island.
So be it.
I can speak with the dwarf Ivaldi. May he find a more permanent solution.
Come, boy.
Tyr's just gonna pick up air. Look at this. Look at it.
Be kind, Justice Pringle.
No, the wolf's there.
Loki. There will be a reckoning.
Of this, I have no doubt.
Just add ankle height. So, the reason he's angry at Loki for having a wolf son is that there is a prophecy that the wolf will be the death of him. There is a prophecy that great harm will come because of these children of Loki. And so they need to be dealt with in some way. And the solution for how to deal with them, unfortunately, due to Odin and Loki being blood brothers, in this game they take that to its most literal version, which is saying that there is, you cannot perform injury upon the sworn brother's family. You totally could, by the way. It's technically a violation of the oath, but nobody cared about that. So it happened anyway, even though it probably shouldn't. But in this case, they use that as the explanation as to why he cannot actually go injure Fenrir. He cannot kill Fenrir, so he cannot defy his fate from this wolf. Now, someone else totally could have just killed the wolf. It would have been fine. Pissed off Loki, but someone else totally could have done it. They had the power. By the way, I just noticed. Thor, my guy, Mjolnir. And also Mjolnir. There is only one Mjolnir. Why does Thor have twice the hammer instead of using the hammer with one hand? He's also notably missing his iron gloves and the girdle of might. The Megingarda? It is literally the word for girdle. Two things that are incredibly important for him to be able to effectively use the hammer. He is in fact dual-wielding Mjolnir. Just like that. Just... Once again, the color green has gone out of hand. And by the way, one thing they really don't do well in this, right? With all of these, Buna 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 Buna. Buna Buna Buna. Is they don't do a good job of really making Asgard feel big. Right? These are gods. These are things that by definition are larger than life in every conceivable way. And they don't really communicate that well, right? You have Hlidskjalf up there being ludicrously tall. We've got these stupidly scaled up statues. But everything else is existing in kind of a very human scale. And even if it's not actually, everything is proportioned just like a human scale. And so you're not getting any of the ridiculous sizes of stuff that are incredibly common in the descriptions of places. So like, where is Thor's Hall? Thor's Hall is called Bildskirnir, and is the largest building ever constructed by anyone. And Valhalla has 420 doors, each of which 800 men can walk through at a time. And it is not the largest building built. No. Fjalvi and Ruskva, who are they? Never heard of them in my life. They're not in this game. It's a shame, because they're cool, right? They're cool. Ruskva kind of just drops off the face of the planet in the mythology. Fjalvi appears kind of all over the place, and that's actually one of the names for Thor, is the protector of Fjalvi, or master of Fjalvi and Ruskva. So, yeah.
Harvey, tell this Rumpcloud he can't just wander about Asgard, poking his pecker in.
I was only curious, dwarf.
Yeah. The builder is doing stuff. We have to finish up this arc, because that apparently matters. This is how they describe the dwarves. The dwarves give nothing away for free. Everything is a trade, everything has a price. Which is interesting, because when they ask for Gleipnir, the cord to bind Fenrir, or literally the fetter to bind Fenrir, they just kind of do it.
Have you ever heard of Huga Magic?
Harvey, my gentle jailer.
But they just make dwarves. This is incredibly Tolkienian, right? Tolkien says the dwarves are by and large greedy and interested in gold, and they are cunning folk who like to make trades. This is not so much what they look like in the Norse mythological corpus, so it's a case of the cultural memory of them being filtered through Tolkien being very, very stereotyped. Let's talk about Hreisfelder.
Over the sea are stirred by the wings of a great eagle named Helsvig, who sits at the edge of the sky.
Interesting indeed. I've often wondered at its
Trading in knowledge seems fair.
So, you asked about Huger magic. That is
okay, so they're calling it Huger magic because it's literally bamfing your brain cells into something else.
But they only dabble from what I know. Like we boys playing with fire.
Anyway, by the way, Ivaldi as a person is completely absent from the Norse mythological corpus. His sons are the ones that are important. They appear twice, potentially a third time. The twice are the forging of the gifts of the gods, the ship Skilsblaðir, the boar Guttenbursti, the hammer Mjölnir, the spear Gungnir, and the ring Draupnir, as part of a competition with Sindri and Brokkr, either Sindri or Eitri. The manuscripts differ, but the older ones always say that.
Make good on your claim, and you
the oldest ones say Sindri, so I usually say it's Sindri and Brokkr engaging in a competition with the sons of Ivaldi to make better gifts for the gods, as a way with the wager also being Loki's head. Because Loki did more stuff.
To craft such a cord, I'll need a few impossible ingredients.
So...
name them.
Either list there. I have a bear's tendon, a fish's breath, and...
a cat's footsteps, and the root of a mountain.
One of the two that they missed there is a woman's beard, by the way.
The riddles will guide you.
I have no patience for riddles.
No, not the sons of Vivaldi. Niram. Come on.
Ancient as the world, with lore passed down from Niji and Nidi to Northri and Sudri, Austri and Vestri, Althjúver.
Yep.
I understand.
So, that list is the list of dwarf names from Völuspá, where it just has like this deviation where it just lists all the names of all the dwarves for Gandalfur, Vindalfur, Thráin, Þekkr, Thorin, Thror, Vitur, Lítur, Nár, Nýrath, Regin, Rathsvíður. Oh, you didn't keep going? You could have kept going. The namesake trees of the Hollow Forest have properties unseen. Interesting. Interesting. So, you know, the Hugger magic is setting up plot. So, you know, whatever. Completely unattested, but they need it for plot. So, fine, we can roll with it. I guess. Maybe. Bloody plot. Where is my exit? There's my exit. Snorri isn't the one who writes the list of dwarf names. Völuspá predates Snorri by some 200 years at least. While he quotes extensively from it, and in fact does just quote the Poetic Edda when it's saying that, the Poetic Edda is not written by Snorri. And so, you know, that's actually a great thing we can talk about while we're riding to the next place. I need to go... I don't need to ride anywhere, I need to teleport. While we're collecting these things, then, our sources for Norse mythology all are in some way or other problematic. We can group them into 5 different groups. We have the Prose Edda, the Poetic Edda, other texts written by usually in Latin, or text, let me say it as text written in not Old Norse. Then we have the legendary sagas, or Fornaldir Sögur, and we have archaeology. Hey, game? Game, I can see it. Yes. Let me pick up the thing! Oh my god, this game. Oh right, I do need to light it. I forgot about that. Need to light it on fire. Problem solving.
The seed will not sprout root until I get it into some water.
It is now hot, and we did not light on fire from that, somehow. I think I missed.
The mountain I seek. There's no higher peak.
Nope, I did not miss. So now we need to grab it, before it sets. Oh, it rolled out all the way over here.
There's no higher peak.
Ta-da! We got the root of a mountain. Somehow. Just like that. Don't worry about it. So anyway, the Prose Edda is written by the Icelander Snorri Sturluson sometime in the early... probably around 1220, give or take 5 years. So he's writing long after the Viking Age ends. But he is participating in and recording a very active oral tradition. His father is actually the one who told him a lot of these stories. As it turns out, Fam Sturla, Snorri's father, really liked these stories of the gods, even though they were no longer believed in. There were no non-Christian people in Iceland in the 13th century, though occasionally they would accuse each other of being non-Christian people. They're all wrong, but it was an accusation to kind of annoy, and a weapon to use against your enemies, but just accusing them of stuff. The Poetic Edda is something that Snorri clearly had access to, since he quotes from it fairly extensively. However, it predates him in some form. The manuscript is younger. The manuscript dates to the middle of the 13th century, and Snorri doesn't necessarily seem to have all of the poems in the Poetic Edda at his disposal, but he has most of them. But the Poetic Edda is... the individual poems are composed anywhere from the 10th to the 12th centuries. In some cases, you know, that means that they also post-date the Viking Age, like Hemiskvida, even though that story is really old, like we, on the Altoona runestone from the mid-900s in Sweden, shows the same story of Thor fishing up the Midgard serpent. The actual poem telling it is probably made in the Orkney Islands in the 12th century. So, not the most... Oh, I nearly whiffed that. That would have been awkward. But yeah. So those are our kind of two main, quote-unquote, indigenous sources. Then we have the Fornaldarsogur, which are written in prose, not poetry. But largely in between the 12th and 14th centuries. And will actually say something about, well, individual heroes. The gods appear in them, but they are not stories about the gods. They are stories about heroes, like Hrolfr Kraki, or Alatar? I did not see that. What you should do is you should go into my Discord server, which the link is in the About section, and you should post that in the historical memes chat, because I am all for Bernie memes. Yeah, you're an Irish hero, Cahalan. You get a different set of sagas. You don't get Fornaldarsogur, but Sigurdur does.
Who knew you could capture a sound?
Sigurdur gets a saga. Hrolfr Kraki gets one. Ingvar, White Traveler, gets one, as does Eirik, White Traveler, who's different from Eric the Red. But there's like 20-something of them. Actually, you go the other direction. But... oh yeah, there is the Etica Minora, which has a handful of poems that are not in Codex Regius, like Baldur's Draenor. Thank you, Barbara, for reminding me of that one. Then we have our non-Norse texts. The main three here are Adam of Bremen's, well, main four. Tacitus' Germania, which I hate, with a passion. Adam of Bremen's History of the Archbishops of Hamburg, Bremen, which includes descriptions like the Temple of Uppsala that I talked about earlier. Then there is the Saxo Grammaticus's Gesta Danorum, which tells a lot of the same stories as in the Fornaldarsogur and the Poetic Edda, but tells radically different versions in some cases. And then there is Ibn Fadlan's Risala, which is a very complicated source for its own right, but is also probably our best description of any sort of religious practice in a funeral along the Volga River. So, it's a thing that exists and is pretty cool. And then there's archaeology, which is a whole mess of stuff that we are working off of basically refuse, and trying to interpret buildings and statues and imagery, runestones, runic images, all that stuff, based on a lot of extremely late, extremely problematic evidence.
Find me as soon as it's ready.
By the way, after we spoke of the Hugr, a cousin came by with his own spirit tale. I don't trust coincidence, so this one's free.
What did he say?
He told me his sister's husband Boring drank a mead brewed in Jotunheim. And it sent his
oh look, the mead of poetry. This is literally the mead of poetry that they're mentioning. Which, instead of being poetry, brewed out of Kvasir's blood by Fjalar and some other people.
The tower is nearly finished.
But
do not fret. The final hours are ticking down.
Yeah,
not fast enough. I feel the jaws of a trap closing upon me.
So
knowing you are in a trap.
Wait, I just derailed myself.
To avoiding it.
The archaeology is complicated. And unfortunately, with a lot of like runestone images, we're left interpreting them based on
you are the queen of Asgard, the host of Folkvanga, the shepherd of the slain. Of course I care.
Based on texts in the Poetic Edda and the Prose Edda, we're left trying to interpret the images that have no captions as to what they mean. Sometimes this is pretty reliable, sometimes this is pretty iffy. There's a church in northern England that shows a bound figure on one of the stones out front. And for a while people were like, this has got to be Loki, it's great, look at this horned figure chained up, it's proof of Loki from like the early 9th century, or early 10th century. That figure's sated. It's all, like, it's far more plausible to interpret the figure out front of a Christian church, tied up with horns, as a devil. Now, that being said, you know, there are things like the Gosforth Cross, which is, extremely obviously showing Norse things despite being a cross. So, you know, complicated. Generally complicated, but problems. And then, you know, there's also the issue of runestones are not Viking Age. Well, some of them are, most of them aren't. There are something like 1,500 runestones produced between 1050 and 1200, mostly in Sweden. And that causes an issue, as it turns out. Because those aren't really from the Viking Age either. And so you have something like the Yelling runestone, which is late 10th century, that one's a little bit earlier, in Denmark, that has one side showing Norse mythological scenes, and then the other face of it has a giant image of Christ. It's just Christ. It's super obviously Christ. And then the inscription reads, I, Harald Blåton, raise this in honor of my father, Gor, and my mother, and I unified Denmark and Norway and converted them all to Christianity. Obviously an exaggeration. He's very into that idea, though. Gear change! Brown shield to offhand. Let's go for the dumbest round shield. This is a shield they decided to put in this game. It's beautiful. Also, they have teleporters. By the way, they don't know how to transport their mind to places, but they have the ability to dematerialize matter and reconstruct it without loss of information. So, I don't know what their problem is. What were you looking at? Were you looking up at that thing? You must have been looking up at that thing. This is the wall made out of stones that the Smith and Svavelfari were apparently working on. It doesn't look very wall-like to me. I'm gonna be honest. It doesn't look like a wall. No, it is made out of stone. We'll go climb it before... We will go climb it before we go inside of it. Hilarious! I am very amused by that. This wall is strangely confined. But we will run up here just to take a look at it, because it's actually not metal, it's just made of these giant slabs of basalt on top of a Roman base. In Draholm. It's a Roman base, within all of these dark basalt stones. Oh, we can't actually climb it. Well, we can fly around it then.
Stretch your wings.
I have the power. Also, the Raven Clan banner. Apparently, you know, Sigurd owns this. Is Randvi dealing with the diplomacy for the gods too? Why are they putting the Raven Clan banner on this thing? And yes, the Shishi Guard. The name suggests East Asian. The lion's head suggests Southeast Asian to me. The design is early modern Persian. I think it's supposed to be a lion. I'm reasonably sure it's supposed to be a lion. It looks like, I don't know, Balinese? Something like that. But yes, the metal shield thing is, yeah, it's a thing. By the way, as we upgrade all these weapons, all the shields turn fully metal, which is not a thing in the Viking Age. You will see it, I think, no matter, the only one that doesn't do it is the Carolingian shield, because they actually put thought into the design. But when we upgrade this one, it will turn metal. When we upgrade this one twice, it'll turn metal. This one will turn metal. This one will turn metal. This one already is metal. But, yeah, in the early Middle Ages, it is literally a legendary weapon. And I mean that totally seriously, where... No, I don't have enough stuff. Dang. Beowulf, like, has an iron shield made entirely out of armor crafted in order to go fight the dragon. This is a thing that literally the strongest human being that you can imagine uses. It's not a thing that anyone else can or should want to use, because turns out that's a very bad idea. Especially when shields are not really meant to be durable. Like, they're meant to be a little kind of soft and replaceable and practical, because that is what most people's only armor, and so it is cheap and functionality. So even rich people in the Viking Age would not use metal shields. This game is just dumb. Admittedly, this is also a game that decides that the upgrade materials, let's see if I can find them. I don't know, I don't think I can do inventory backpack. But decides that the correct upgrade materials are carbon, nickel, and tungsten. Oh, also titanium. And just leather and iron that you can just smear on things and doesn't need smelting at all. By the way, y'all know when tungsten was discovered as a like unique metal outside of ores? I think it's late 1700s. Yeah, I think 1783 is right. It's somewhere around there. It's late 1700s that they finally, two people independently managed to refine tungsten into a unique metal. Hey, tungsten train! Well-timed username. Meanwhile, nickel was also not used in the Viking Age. It at least exists, but most of its useful alloys don't exist until several hundred years later. And also carbon. Just ingots out of carbon. I mean, you could. I think it's probably a bad idea, Colin. The reason that's a bad idea is that tungsten doesn't melt, right? That is its strong suit. It refuses to melt. But it's actually not a very hard metal. As far as it goes, it's actually pretty malleable. You can shape it into stuff without having to heat it very far at all. It just doesn't turn into a liquid. So I don't think that'll be a better spear than if you just made it out of steel. Yeah, I would much rather they have mythical metal. Like, or, hear me out here. Just do iron, silver, gold. It's clearly what you're doing. This isn't what tungsten looks like. Tungsten is a gray metal. Tungsten is gray. Just go, if you really want it to be bronze, silver, gold, you can do that. But just do like iron, silver, gold. That's clearly what they want. And they just refuse to do it. And they wound up being really boneheaded because of that. Also titanium. Just titanium. Exists. You just pick it up off the ground and it's titanium. Exactly. This is clearly a copper ingot, right? That's what this is. This is copper. But no. Here we are. It's terrible. I hate it so much. Anyway, since I'm truly at this point actually procrastinating. But let's see what they actually have to say about the people. Regions. Asgard. Home to the vast pantheon of Norse gods, Asgard is a Viking paradise where warfare is a way of life and death. Here lies Valhalla, Odin's Hall of the Slain, where chosen champions, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, none of that is wrong. Oh yeah, Alfred. Anyway, Odin, the Hand God, Shield Shaker, Greybeard, Wanderer, are just a few of the many names. Let me read you a few more, actually. He is Grímr, Gangleri, Helgan, Hjálmberg, Þekkur, Thunder, Alföður, Hangatyr, Hrafnás, Farmatyr, Sigtyr, Gætatyr, Goðjarðar, Mímisvinir, Farmagnúður, Víðfrægur, Hroptur og Hroptatyr, Eineyja, Friði, Yggur, Bági, Valgætur, Hertyr, and Valföður. That's about a third of the names we have surviving for Odin. And Haur, and also called Justice High. I don't remember the exact Norse one for that. Or Hauvi. Yeah. So, Odin. Ta-da. So much for him. I actually like his mantle, or rather, I don't hate his mantle. But Loki. It's hard being the smartest person in the room, especially when no one else will acknowledge it. No. Odin is in fact the smartest person in the room. That's his whole gig. Of all the Aesir, only Odin has shown a true appreciation for Loki's intelligence, and has only ever done so to further his own knowledge-seeking agenda. As much as he resents his Asgardian... Why the hell do they call it Asgardian? Once again, Marvel is making its presence known in the worst possible way. Loki, son of Jotuns, would prefer to see the Aesir be architects of their own destruction rather than having to do the heavy lifting himself. Sure. I guess. But smartest person in the room brags about killing Baldur at a party where he's the only one not drinking. Thor has a somewhat less complicated view of the world than his father Odin. Power quests and politics have less appealing than the more satisfying activities of eating, drinking, and fighting. Thor is not afraid to die at Ragnarok, for he knows his end will be glorious. He loves his wife Sif deeply and will murderously defend her honor at any given opportunity. Sometimes he actively tries. Where is Sif in this game? But you mention her. Where is she in this game? Y'all? Tyr was the war god of the Aesir until Odin defeated him in a match of martial skills. I guess this is supposed to be a reference to way back in yonder days where Tyr/Deus, because Tyr is cognate to Zeus. It's derived from the same Proto-Indo-European word. But by the earliest attestations we have with Tacitus is very clear that Mercury is the chief god. You know, Mars is important, but Mercury is the chief god. Mercury is Odin. And so, you know, supposedly supposed to be this long ancient thing where Tyr falls out of prominence and Odin replaces him. They also really leaned into him being a god of justice, which we already talked about. Don't uncritically cite Nazis, you bastard of a game developer. But, once again, Tyr, as he survives, has nothing to do, nothing at all, to do with being an important god or formerly a chief or any of that stuff. Right? This is all speculation based off a linguistic sound change when Tyr is in half of the names for Odin. Hungatyr, Hrafntyr, Gætatyr. Tyr just means God. Tyr just means God. It is one of about, well, 3 main words. Tyr, Gvöð, and Aus, as our 3 main words for God. They're all interchangeable. They don't really have anything different. So all we can actually say is old and the rest of this is making stuff up. Fine, it's okay to make stuff up. It's not coming from literally nowhere. Just don't present this as authoritative in your codex where you're... Like, this isn't mentioning, right? This isn't mentioning their status as Isu. This is supposed to be like encyclopedia entries about who they were. Anyway, Freya of the Vanir married Odin for largely political reasons, and despite their many disputes and infidelities, Kof Surt without her, a fondness and mutual respect has grown between the two in lieu of love. So, basically, Freya and Frigg are derived from the same Proto-Germanic word. Freya's husband is Other, Frigg's husband is Odin. Those two are clearly derived from the same Proto-Germanic word. Therefore, people have argued that once in years ago, Freya and Frigg were the same person, and that we should therefore adopt Freya as our example of the chief Norse female deity, and Odin as our example of the chief Norse male deity. Freya specifically has no cognates in the Old High German or Gothic contexts, or Old English. Frigg does. Frigg, specifically, it means lady, and the precise cognate. Freya does a weird Norse sound change, but Frigg has a precise cognate, so why are we choosing Frigg over Freya beyond we feel like it? Beyond we feel like it, we think she's cooler. Which, fair, you think she's cooler, roll with it. There's some hot nonsense going on here, and conflating the two in the Viking Age. Because whatever they used to be, in the Viking Age, in the 9th century when this game takes place, Freya is not Frigg, Other is not Odin. Kahalad. Odin is an anglicization. It should be an Ev, which is a voiced TH sound. So the Old Norse is Odin, with Freya's husband being Other. O-Ev-R. Capicrab, yes I have. I recently finished. If you look in the About section of the stream, there will be my YouTube channel, where the VOD is archived. It takes about four parts, and I had a grand time doing it. So, no, these are from the perspective of Sean, writing for the benefit of Layla and Bex. So these are not the perspective of anyone in the perspective of the game. This is someone who has Google, someone who has Google and is able to look stuff up, and is just not doing that. Oh, also, she is particularly pleased with the robust growth of the cat population since her arrival. So Freya is associated with cats in that Snorri, in the Prose Edda, says that her chariot is pulled by cats. We have no other descriptions of cats in the Norse mythology, or in runestone images, and furthermore, sacrificial funerary contexts show that while cats were occasionally sacrificed in ritual contexts in the Bronze Age, Roman Iron Age, Vendel period, and Viking Age, they are far less common than dogs, horses, and bulls, or aurochs, if you go back long enough. Therefore, it doesn't seem that cats have a particularly strong sacred purpose, or were perceived as unusually sacred in the Viking Age. And this may be something that emerges in later oral traditions, or that Snorri made up. Ivaldi. When Ivaldi the dwarf was rescued by Odin from a fate worse than death, his smithing skill was unmatched in the Nine Realms. He pays that debt off as the Allfather's servant, crafting items of great power and beauty. So, his sons are the important ones in the mythology. Ivaldi just straight up, the most we know about Ivaldi is that he has sons who are pretty good at their job. He might also have a daughter. What is it? Voluspa and Skama is the second half of it. Sorry, I need just a second here to look it up. To look up the name of the poem, because I knew I was not going to remember everything perfectly. Eddas. Poetic. Oh, Hinlulioth. That's the one. In Hinlulioth, there is a suggestion that Idun is in fact a daughter of Ivaldi, and the brother to the sons of, or the sister to the sons of Ivaldi. This is the only mention of that as a thing. Snorri didn't seem to have access to Hinlulioth, so that doesn't get into the Prose Edda, but that's potentially one variant of being something that's super, super cool. Alright, see ya, Cahalan. Fenrir. Fenrir looks rough. Wow, he must have a really bad day somewhere soon. Fenrir is the great wolf prophesied to devour Odin during the Battle of Ragnarok. He is the son of Loki, siblings of the goddess Hel, and Jörmungandr the Midgard serpent. Despite Odin's efforts to find a loophole here, events continue to unfold. This is to some extent an interpolation as to why the Eddic poems exist, because Odin seems to be seeking knowledge about Ragnarok specifically, and a lot of our main Eddic poems talk about it. So the interpolation is that he doesn't seem to particularly like the idea of Ragnarok, and is trying to find some way to avoid it. However, he never comes and says that. It's never explicitly said. But, you know, it's a fair enough reading. It's one that scholars also reasonably do. By the way, the Blue Man Group. Singular Jotun. Are the descendants of Jotunheim? Descendants of Ymir? Sure. This is all fair enough. I do not love that design of Fenrir. He's far better as just the tall boy wolf. Anyway, having now distracted ourselves using the codex a lot,
like what you see? Quite the tower,
we're missing one thing. Oh, by the way, we cleared 1,000 followers during this stream. Yo, that is incredibly cool, guys. I'm so glad all of you enjoyed this enough to continue watching. I want to see more of this. I said, if you are interested, if you have, if you have an Amazon account, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch per month. If you want to do that, or just subscribe normally, I incredibly appreciate it, but there will never be an expectation for that. And it will unlock a few perks for you, such as getting to participate in eventually sub-only multiplayer games or board game nights. Or board game streams, I should say. But you will always, always, always be allowed to watch, no problem. Never ever a paywall for this, here or on YouTube.
Not my best work, but it has a
anyway, let's go finish the plot. So this is the point where Loki needs to do something really fast. And thank you, Barbara, so much for the Prime subscription. I appreciate it.
The tower is functional.
It's missing one thing, so it's not done yet.
One rune remains, which I shall inscribe.
That you got greedy. So this is what they decide to do with Loki in this cutscene. You're not prepared.
Who helped you complete
Y'all
the
aren't
work,
prepared.
Builder? You could not have managed so quickly on your own.
Alright, I hear you.
Our agreement said nothing about outside help. Now, where is Freya? I'm tired of waiting.
Outside help. Interesting choice of words.
Yeah, instead of this being Svadilfari, his horse.
Hail, Builder! We bring you your bride.
Hey, Thor did it clever.
Freya, my beloved.
So they are quoting Thrymskvida here. This is essentially the same trick as Thrymskvida, where Thor ends up getting married. But, instead of Loki doing the lying, it's us doing the lying for... You'll see soon.
She's starved, Builder. Hungry for you. Eager to consume you like a moist and dainty morsel.
Splendid. She'll be pleased to know I have an appetite to match her own.
Okay, now you're being weird, Builder. Should have put Thor in a dress.
We have upheld our end of the bargain. Will you finish your work?
I'm sorry, but I've never seen such wild eyes. Why does she look
Again,
so
this is basically quoting Thrymskvida. Basically, why is she...
Since hearing of your offer, closed her eyes.
These are the explicit choices. Threemer asks, well, why does she eat so much as Thor eats several oxen? And Thor, Loki says, hey, he hasn't eaten in a long time because he's hungry for you. But then asks, well, what's up with the red eyes? Because he's very angry. Thor then has red eyes and goes, Loki says, oh, that's because he hasn't slept, or she hasn't slept. And then kisses and gets pushed away and is like, wow, that's weird. And then brings out Mjolnir and Thor smushes everyone.
I have been told it has a seductive quality.
And by the way, instead of Loki turning into a mare, Loki turned into a deception of Freya. Of Freya. Meanwhile, Freya exists.
Freya, you don't need
You have next to nothing, Aesir. Only this useless monument to your ineptitude. You've been a good boy, Thor. Don't gamble your winnings.
Well, Freya ruins our own thing.
And
I mean, reasonable, but still stupid.
You tried to avoid responsibility by not making a choice, but that was a choice in itself. And look where it has brought us.
You are no one's prize just yet. If this scheme turns sour, I will fight for you.
By the way, they're saying this while the builder can hear.
Has this sad spectacle been for my sake alone? I've seen better drama on the festering carcass of a dead pig.
Finish your work.
Yeah, I mean, also...
Suffer.
No Freya, no shield.
Uh-huh.
To Helheim with him, Harvey. I know where he keeps his enchanted paint.
Sure.
Show me. Thor, Tyr, watch our guest closely. Freya, I hope we will have words when this is done.
Yes.
Why do you still wear
There is
Freya's
so
clothes?
much...
A reminder of who's at stake.
Change back.
It is disturbing, but, I heard you.
Where do we go now?
I don't know. I didn't say I was watching him every moment.
So you do not know where he kept his supplies?
They must be nearby. He never left this area. Mostly never.
Oh wait, no, need to do it this way, sorry. Look at all the drips of goo. And yes, there is so much drama. There's drama both in a ritual sense and in an amusement sense. The sagas are obviously like infinite drama, just on the principle of existing. They're generally very dramatic things.
Shapeshifters!
More deception. The builder will suffer for this.
Will he really? Oof, that lighting effect struggled. Oh, okay, Loki was trying to teleport inside people's faces while I was finishing them. Okay, but yes, also, still yes. That's the thing, it is in fact, still very much the case that there are, is performative drama in the Norse world. Skirnismál has been interpreted as being an actual sort of ritual with different stages being performed in dialogue with different characters. And then you have something like Hákonarmál or Eiríksmál being funeral elegiac poems that are almost certainly supposed to have performances of one poet being the deceased Hákon Ingolfi, and another one being the Valkyrie that's leaving him to Valhalla.
Binds me is forfeit. For you and your son, is that clear?
So, right, there is both performative drama and there is that juicy tea drama.
More dear.
They're extremely dramatic people.
That's cold comfort. A quiet crossing makes you best. Devious blood.
Hang on, you just said Hail Allfather as a Jotun.
Slay these shapeshifters.
No, I heard... That's a bobcat. What is a bobcat doing? Apparently lynx, the Jotnar are able to change into lynx. I guess that's a dumb question, it? But yes, those looked like they were extremely religiously confused. Yeah, nah. Wait, why are you teleporting?
A quiet crossing might be best.
Hey, Mr. Bobcat. Yeah, that's just a lynx.
A quiet crossing.
Look at the kitty. I killed the kitty. I don't know if any of you have ever seen a lynx in the wild. I kind of doubt it because they're reclusive. But no, just no. This game loves having random wild animals be kind of the source of the problem, of just things that will attack you. Right? On site, no justification, all over the place, will attack you. Bears, wolves, bobcat, lynx, whatever. Whatever, they're gonna do it. Even sometimes boars and deer will just happily go try and mash your face in. I feel like none of the developers of this game have ever encountered any of those animals in the wild before, or bothered to look up how they actually do stuff. Cause oh my god, wolves would like never ever do that, and certainly it is the case that
Our hobby returns. Stay right there, Builder. We're not finished with you.
Woo, Neutrino, that part.
You survived my
Yeah, the animal AI is real bad.
Invaders from Jotunheim. We slaughtered them all.
There are European lynx. I'm saying bobcat repeatedly, and that is an error on my end. European lynx are incredible and pretty animals, and also reclusive and rarely seen by humans, and also generally non-aggressive and not very big.
You perverted our sacred waters. We have every reason to kill you.
Well reasoned. They should call you the god of
You're very much not very big.
Knowing after the fact.
I will finish the inscription. Builder, you stay with me.
So remember, as I said at the beginning, according to the Prozada, our one attestation of this entire story,
for protection.
Thor comes back after the job gets done and the job fails to get done, and the builder gets very mad and reveals himself to be a giant.
You godless worm, slayer of
Thor comes back and smooshes him.
Breaker, spirit taker, I didn't build this tower to keep your enemies out. I built it.
Yes, that was in fact a sick Epimetheus reference in this game. They did. You can clearly tell that they did AC Odyssey immediately before, right?
You and your slab-headed son.
Ow! Neither of those dodges actually worked. Oh god, this is gonna be terrible. This is the worst weapon to do this fight with. I am not happy about this. God, oh.
I could get a better shot at his from above.
What is this shiny thing? Doesn't matter because I'm gonna headshot him. And then do that, and that did nowhere near enough damage. We are in not a great condition. Because once it gets going, I'm going to be fine. But switch out that flail for a spear and use a good weapon. Once it gets rolling, it's going to be fine. It's just this boss fight is not conducive to startup lag.
You shape the 9 worlds, but you do not control them.
Control them? I only wish to survive them.
Anyway, we got double requests for spears, so or for good weapons. Raptorus, you'll do main hand. Which weapon do you want? We have so many options. Fafnir's Fang. Sounds good. Blues, you can do offhand. Which one do you want? The Finish Hammer? Knives? Spears? The Finish Hammer. It is a truly legendary weapon. Oh, that's not good. Oh, that's very not good. Hey, ooh. Okay, so I actually did something weird here, or interesting here, in the dump. The runes that are appearing on the edge there are, or the runic somethings that are appearing, are part of the, still what's known as the Eishjálmur. Whiffed. But they're actually using 2 variations of it. They're using an older variation as part of the...
Your time has passed. There's no turning back the seasons.
If our doom is assured, I will ensure that you share it.
Ow. So maybe they'll let me do it again. There, that one. That is a different variation of the Eishjálmur, or the Helm of Awe, than this one, even though it's the same symbol that supposedly accomplishes the same thing. So... oh wow, where did I end up? Oh, I can't do that. That's lame. This is a little bit close, but we're fine. We just needed one thing. So yeah, I mean the main 8.1 is unfortunately used way too frequently by Nazis. The 4.1 I've never actually seen in a white supremacist context because it's way less popular. It's from a lesser known manuscript.
Does that worry you?
From a little bit earlier, with 4 points, 4 symbols. So yeah.
Were you behind this? You dishonorable truth.
It's a good question. Was Loki behind this? Oh look, this is just the Lokasena. That is the accusation he levies about Freya at Aegir's feast, wherein he reveals that he killed Baldur. That is not... this is not, though. Tyr, I don't even think is at the feast in Lokasena. It's Bragi, then Idun, and then Freya, and then Odin, and then Thor, I think.
Only twice as stupid.
Oh, you festering ball sack swollen with the foulest drippings of Ymir's corpse. No oath is worth this abuse.
But you won't break it, Harvey. You cannot.
Oh, Odin breaks oaths all the time.
Efforts to evade destiny will only fling you further along its course.
Oh, you're right, he is there. You are correct, Alatar. I am wrong. Yeah, that he says, you don't make anyone more peaceful, you just drive people to war. And Snorri goes, yeah, that's right. Despite, I don't think Snorri, like, being confirmed of having access to Lokasena as one of the poems that he uses. I'm pretty sure he doesn't.
What now, wise one? We have returned to the place from
So,
which we
yeah,
settled.
you're right, I am wrong,
Ragnarok is coming,
Alatar.
and we
Thank
have
you for
no
the correction.
There may be a solution in Jotunheim. Huga magic, they call it. I will travel there to see it for myself. Until I have the final binding, Lokistan must not leave that island. In time, it shall serve as a sanctuary for all wolves.
Uh-huh.
I will watch over him as one of my own kin.
Sure.
Then I'll leave the realm in your capable hands, my queen. If my own are empty when I return, I will accept destiny with both.
Neutrina, yeah, that's how modern adaptation of Norse mythology works. Right? Where every myth needs to happen, because there are a limited number of them, and you can't just pick the ones that suit your purpose. You need to just do them all, and so you'll mash them together in incredibly unplausible ways. Anyway, yeah, Freya's necklace is supposed to be the Brisingamen. The lighting in here is kind of terrible, but looks like it's a bunch of oh, come on. What? Yeah, I need better lighting. Let's get out of here to where there's like daylight, and then I'll try and look at that. Kozak, what they're mad at Loki for is that they think he planned this. Like, right, that the... Oh, you're not going to go out. You're just going to stand there, aren't you? Fine, we'll go into the bloody thing and we'll zoom in on it. Instead of going out into the daylight where I can actually, like, see things, they're just not going to do that. Oh yeah, Nitrina, yeah, there's a fun thing about the Prose Edda that I'm going to close off this stream with. We'll get there in a moment. In the meantime, though, quick over to the Codex to talk about Freya one more time. But they think that, Loki invited the Builder, and this was intentional. This is a reference to in the Prose Edda, where, Thor, or Loki is the one who pushes for the Builder to be allowed to accept the Builder's bargain, basically. Like, he didn't bring the Builder here, but he encourages them to accept it, and then he gets in trouble, and they get in trouble, and they tell Loki, hey, you're gonna fix this or else. And then he does. He does that somewhat regularly. So yeah, this necklace is supposed to be the Brisingamen. I see a bone, and a bone, and a bone, and another bone, and another bone, and another bone, and a bandana. Just like one of those hiking bandana thingies that now are super popular. And then some gold coins. That's not what a period-accurate elite necklace would look like. In this time period, the necklace would probably be made out of a mix of silver, glass, and amber would kind of be the three main materials that you're using. And so there are these rows of beads. A simple one has 3 rows. A complicated one might have 20 rows or more. So we're definitely looking on the high end of that. So looking at like 20 to 30 rows of beads forming that necklace. Yes, Rashkavar, that is exactly who it is. The Builder that we just killed is the Bergrisi, mountain giant, that owns Svadilfari, who Loki distracts, and therefore is why Loki gives birth to Odin's 8-legged horse, Sleipnir. Yeah. And yes, the Brisingamen is mentioned in Beowulf, in a somewhat non-mythological context, so actually maybe linked to an actual family, the Brisingas in Old English, Brisingar in Old Norse. Yeah, this encyclopedic entry is really, really bad. There's lots of them that are bad. This one's really bad. You're right, Barbara. But yeah, there may be some jewels, but even then, I think we're mostly, even something like that, are archaeological evidence of funerary beads, of female jewelry, found largely in high-status burials, is showing rows and rows of beads as the dominant necklace design. Super important. Important and good. But no, here we are. Oofed. Well, we have one thing left to do here, and as we're running, let me tell you something fun. For all the amount I have been salty about all the Roman stuff in Asgard, this is actually 100% accurate to the Prose Edda. They're not being consistent in using the Prose Edda, but this is one place where this is actually something attested in one of our main sources. Yay! It's obviously a case where it is not attested in pre-Christian Norse religions, but, you know, our source is not of pre-Christian Norse religions. It's in an oral tradition based on continental influence from the 13th century. And so, if you did not know, within the canon of Norse mythology, the Aesir are refugees from the Trojan War. Thor is better known as Hector. Vidar, the son of Odin, who will survive Ragnarok, is also pretty well known. You may have heard of him. He's got a whole poem written by one Vergil about him. One Publius Vergilius Maro. His name is Aeneas. Vidar, the Norse god who has a giant shoe and will rip Fenrir in half at Ragnarok, is Aeneas. And he's very famous and is known from several other things. They are canonically refugees who escape the Trojan War and then head north. This is according to Ynglinga Saga, written by Snorri Sturluson. This fully euhemerizes them. The Prose Edda doesn't do it nearly as hard. The Prose Edda just says, oh yeah, you totally know of these guys. They just are, right? That they're these Trojan heroes. And by the way, Snorri also says, I have the definitive account of Norse mythology, and that is it. Like, do not believe any version of the tale other than this one, in which the gods are Trojan. This is essentially a way of kind of normalizing the Norse gods within continental Christian milieu. The Iliad and the Odyssey and the Aeneid are incredibly cool and good, and you're allowed to make writings and stuff based on them, and therefore every place is founded by Troy. Like Rome being founded by Aeneas, everyone's like, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's link ourselves to Rome and to Troy. And so Brutus is supposedly a refugee from Troy who is the first settler in Britannia. There's a wave of Trojans that show up in Ireland. The Aesir are refugees from Troy. This is incredibly common.
Your face is bright, and your eyes seem clearer.
So,
of everything you have seen.
That's canon. You can't dispute it. If you're doing Norse mythology,
I have been to Asgard.
That is a thing you can totally draw on, and it just works.
I saw
if you're trying to learn anything about what religious practice looked like in the 9th century, you probably want to discount that part, right? But to tell us something about the 13th century and what was in Iceland at the time, it's fascinating, and I love it so much, even if it's hilarious and kinda dumb.
More than learned, I felt everything. His fears and doubts.
By the way, Barbara, this is a Vala. This is Valka, our Seeress, our Spalkona. Look at how terrible it is.
I consorted with Loki, the trickster. We quarreled often, as siblings. But soon our fights grew dark. When he revealed he had sired a wolf cub, my rage was unbound.
Because he had hid the truth from you?
Yes.
By the way, chat, the reason why I say this is terrible is that we have a description of a Spalkona. We have a description of a couple of Spalkona or CRSs that exist and are actually look like reliable descriptions. And none of that. None of this tattoo, none of this low-cut dress, none of this random animal wearing her face, and no random dreadlocks.
And then I awoke.
Right, braided hair, not dreads. Braids. But also, CRSs are largely older women, either widowed or were never married, and are itinerant. They'll travel place to place to place, and each time they stop by are given with a feast and a magic rite, and some kind of song, some sort of ritual in order to help foretell the future, and then from there they give prophecies, advice on health, etc., etc., to try and exist in the community, and then they move on. They're super liminal. Magic users in general are incredibly liminal. They exist on the boundaries of society. And while Spalkonas are tolerated, the way they did Valka is not really what this looks like. You know, lovely kind of fur-lined gloves, and a blue mantle, and boots with fur in them, and otherwise incredibly well dressed, and with a knife that has the tip snapped off. All part of the thing. And then in Eirik Saga Rauða, where that happens, she gets the she is given the hearts of the animals. She didn't do the slaughtering, but the animals were slaughtered. And then she's given the hearts to eat, and then spends the night there, and the next day there, and then sits, and they sing a song known as, some sort of galdur. A Christian woman sings it, and she's super uncomfy with this. But then it's like, yeah, you sang that well, and lots of spirits have shown up, and they're telling me things, and now, by the way, the plague outbreak that exists in your Greenlandic settlement is going to go away now, and your next year is going to be pretty good. And yes, according to the extremely popular thing of the Roma booze that was Latin Christendom in the Middle Ages, exclusively Roma booze, no one else allowed, yes, everyone was Trojan. Just everyone gets to be Trojan. So, anyway, I hope all of you enjoyed this. This is where we wrap up with the stream. Next week is going to be London, and then the week after that is going to be Vinland. So our Saturday streams are always Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and they are always at time. And that's okay. However, I also stream on Wednesday evenings, 7 p.m. Central Time, which unfortunately for Europeans is probably pretty late. But this week, I have finally gone on the sea shanty craze, but I'm not going to play another Assassin's Creed game because, God, I need a break from Assassin's Creed games. So, we're going to be playing Dishonored, and I will get to talk about sea shanties and folk versus elite culture while playing Dishonored instead. So I hope you all will enjoy me for that. And once again, if you enjoyed this, make sure you follow here, join my Discord server, and subscribe to my YouTube channel where the VOD will be uploaded. I also do once monthly video essays of some variety on YouTube, so you want to be subscribed there so you don't miss any of the content. Otherwise, I hope you all have a good rest of your weekend, and I will see you all on the next time. Thank you so much, everyone. And yeah, have a good time. And always, you're free to ask me questions in Discord whenever. Otherwise, here on streams. I'm happy to try my best to ramble about questions. Can't guarantee answers. Anyway, I'll see y'all next time. Bye.